Hi, I'm Jen,
And I'm Apollonia.
and you're listening to Every Rom Com, the podcast where we have fun taking romantic comedies seriously.
Today on Every Rom Com, we're continuing the horror rom com series with the first of two zombie rom coms.
We'll talk about a movie with an unlikely heroine in the form of a zombie fighting kindergarten teacher played by Lupita Nyong'o.
We'll discuss what it's like to teach small children and whether we'd have what it takes to lead them through the zombie apocalypse.
And we'll discuss a movie which somehow combines a Taylor Swift song, subpar death metal, an obscene children's show host, and a shady US military base as we discuss the 2019 Australian film Little Monsters. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Every Rom Com. Oh my gosh. So today I'm very excited because I have a new guest host joining us, and this is the first time somebody's coming on the show who I actually know from Korea. And I think we met at a spoken word. I think we met at Words Only. Yeah, and then we started doing theater together, and I was the person who had a theater group, and Apollonia was the person who had much more theater experience than I did, who came in and started stage managing without the title until eventually they had the title. Would that about describe it?
Yeah, basically, especially when one of my friends and I were like, we like Shakespeare, but we want to do not Shakespeare.
Yeah, and you also started, so I had a Shakespeare group, and you started with Peter, also the Busan English Theater Association, the modern theater. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the show. And let's see, I'm going to read also Apollonia's introduction that I asked for because I always ask my guest host for an introduction. Apollonia is known for being the former co-host on a Nicolas Cage blog reviewing all of his films. They have a massive passion for all things horror and used to be a kindergarten teacher in South Korea. And your Nicolas Cage blog, it's called Not the Bees. Is that correct?
Yep.
And I'm putting a link to it in the show notes so people can see that as well. It looks like you haven't been like making new entries for a little while, maybe like in terms of the blog part.
It's been about 5 years.
Oh my, okay. Because I did scroll back, yeah.
Yeah, I had we watched about 70 something of his films. We were doing one a week or more. And at some point after I left Korea, we were trying to continue it, but I just had this mental block and I was like, I can't watch Nicolas Cage anymore. It's too much. I just can't do it. And I know there's been other blogs that have attempted to watch all of his films and they have usually given up around 40 or 50 movies. So we made it the furthest. And we are discussing restarting it.
Yeah.
But I need to like get over that hump and just watch another Nicolas Cage film just so I can be like, okay, I can do this again, I swear.
I'm curious, did you ever get to Moonstruck?
I don't think so. I think that was
Cher,
one
opera.
of the next. Yeah, I think that was one of the next ones that we were going to do when I was just like, this is too much for my little brain to handle.
Well, I think it would be a good new one for you to start. And that's actually the first our first episode of Every Rom Com was actually on Moonstruck. Not because of Nicolas Cage in particular, just because we all really like the movie. So
yeah, I really want to watch The Color of Space and Mandy.
Oh, The Color Out of Space.
Yeah, that. I really want to watch that one and Mandy. I think that's what I'm going to start with. And then hopefully be able to talk about it.
And that brings us to the horror angle, because those are both kind of more horror movies. And that's kind of why I asked you to be on this particular episode, because we're doing, of course, a month of horror for Every Rom-Com. And I know that you're one of my go-to people for like knowing horror movies. So I have questions for you, like at the beginning of the show. So like first of all, I'm going to ask though, what was your favorite Nicolas Cage film that you did for your blog?
I have a soft spot in my heart for both Face Off and Con Air. I have loved them since I was a little kid. Oh, also The Rock. I have watched all of them just at least like 20 something times each of those
Wow.
movies. I was obsessed as a child. um, but I would have to say it's a tie between Lord of War and Matchstick Men.
And how about, what is your favorite horror? Well, this is a hard question for anyone who likes horror. So, like, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
So I grew up, I started watching horror movies when I was only 4. My brothers, being the gentlemen that they are, showed me A Nightmare on Elm Street when we lived on Elm Street. That backfired on them because I loved it. I loved it so much. I now have a Freddy Krueger tattoo. I have his glove tattooed over my shoulder, kind of like the angel wing. I would have to say my favorite horror film is Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors. It was beautiful just how they married together practical effects and CGI. And it just looks so much more real than a lot of things that I see today. And like, I love CGI. I love the Corridor crew and what they put out on their YouTube channel. But just practical effects will always have a big place in my heart.
Yeah, definitely. And how about, like, do you like zombie movies? Do you have a favorite zombie movie also, or like?
I do. So I like the Rage zombies quite a lot. 28 Days Later, I like the bleakness of it and the subsequent sequels. I actually showed my partner, who absolutely cannot stand horror movies at all. I've kind of been building her up a tiny bit. We finally got to watch Doctor Sleep, and she could handle it, and it was great. But I showed her Warm Bodies, and that one I actually loved. It took me a second. I love Nicholas Hoult. I loved him when he was a character in Skins. I loved him in the X-Men franchise.
And that's the next movie we're doing actually on the podcast. So
Really,
that's cool.
I
I
love
still
that
haven't seen
movie.
it. I've actually haven't watched it yet. I haven't prepared yet for
It
that one.
is it is a lovely movie. It is funny. It is sad. It's great. I love it. But I'm gonna have to go for my favorite. I like the classics. I really like Night of the Living Dead. I
The
think
original.
that's the
Yeah.
original. I
Yeah, me
think
too.
that's what I'm going to show my partner next as a horror
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, just because of the goofiness, my all-time favorite zombie film would have to be Return of the Living Dead.
I still haven't seen that, so I'll have to check it out.
I also remember you and I, when we lived in Korea, we saw World War Z together. And
Oh.
all I remember is you sitting next to me, just being like, oh, all okay, all okay, all okay, all okay. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's actually scared.
I was scared into speaking Korean instead of English. Yes,
You
yes.
definitely were.
I don't know if I was scared so much as stressed out. Like, that movie
That was
definitely
what it
stressed
was.
me
You
out.
were very stressed while watching. I was like, I don't know what I can do to help.
I think Lee may have been there too, and I may have been
Yeah.
like clawing him with my fingernails, and like that was probably not a pleasant experience. Yep. And then finally, because this is a rom com podcast, like, do you like rom coms? Do you have any favorite rom coms?
So I used to really, really love the movie Leap Year, and I haven't watched it in a while.
Oh my god, we totally did an episode on that too. Except you have to listen to it because we talk about what the Irish thought of it, and they trashed it, and it's
Yeah.
really
Oh,
funny.
I can definitely see that. Like, again, it's not. I like trash movies. I know
Yeah,
it's not a good movie. For me, I have an interesting relationship when it comes to rom coms. I am asexual, so that whole idea of just like, oh, my end game is to have sex with this person. I am the stereotypical asexual in that I don't have any interest in sex.
yeah,
My romantic orientation is questioning. I don't want to call myself a full aromantic
yeah.
because I do feel a lot of things for my current partner. But I would have to say like I'm more like demi. So again, like that thought of just having that end game be like, oh, there's this person, I must be with them. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it, which is one of the reasons I watch rom-coms. So I'm
Huh.
like, okay, I want to understand these people who think like this. And obviously it's all fake, and I know people don't actually think like that, but it
I
kind of helps
mean,
me. For the most
Sometimes
part.
they do. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes they definitely do. It helps me kind of understand more about people.
Yeah.
I would have to say, though, for myself, I have this obsession with it is a manga, it is an anime, it has been remade so many times in live action form. In Japanese, it's called Hane Yori Dango, and then in English, it's called Boys Over Flowers. But just like that idea of like, oh, it's like four rich guys and the poor girl who kind of like works their way into a couple of their hearts. It appeals to me a lot, and I'm like, this is so toxic. Why do I like the toxic? But there's also another Korean show called Cinderella and the Four Knights, which has that same thing of there's four rich guys and the poor girl, and it just kind of is like that. And I'm like, I don't understand why I like these ones so much, but it works for me. I like seeing the progression of I absolutely hate this person and I want them to die with every fiber of my being into I love this person.
So enemies into lovers trope. You like that trope. Okay.
I do, for some odd reason. And
a lot of people do. A lot of people like that. Yeah.
It is. And I've recently I started reading books by Penelope Sky, which again, I love trash movies. I have now discovered I love trash romance novels. But in every single one of the books, it is that concept of they are enemies and they turn into lovers. Except like these books are just god awful.
But I mean, whatever makes people happy, really, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so before we get started with today's episode, just a few notes. First, as usual, there will be a spoiler-free section at the beginning of the episode, and we'll warn you when the spoiler section starts.
We'd also like to remind you that you can follow the podcast on social media. Our Facebook page is Every Rom Com Podcast and Blog. Our Instagram is at Every Rom Com, and our Twitter handle is at Every Rom Com Pod.
And as always, you can find the podcast at everyromcom.com. Send us feedback at feedback@everyromcom.com. And if you like what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. And now let's listen to a little bit of the trailer for Little Monsters.
Lieutenant, sir, why are we here?
It's zombies again.
Fast ones or slow ones, sir?
Slow.
Thank God they're slow.
Next stop, Pleasant Valley.
Hi-ho, Teddy!
Aren't we having a super fun time on our trip?
I want you all in a line in front of me and away we go.
Why are we stopping?
Must be something in the way.
What is it, Miss Caroline?
Stop the tractor!
Are you okay?
Yes! Don't be scared. Who remembers how to play tag? Well, those funny-looking people out there are it.
Go away!
We have kids out here!
Oh my God, I don't give a shit.
What's happening?
We're all gonna die.
Are we gonna die, Miss Caroline?
No! It's part of the game. The zombies are not real.
Like, fuck, they're not!
It is a bit scary.
What are we doing? We're scared. What's the song we can sing?
If you're happy and you know, clap your hands.
We can't stay here indefinitely.
I'm not going anywhere. You're bigger idiots than I thought, and I thought you were both the stupidest people I've ever met.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
My job is to keep you safe. Stay here until I get back.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Fuck!
That kind of behavior is unacceptable.
Max started
Max
it.
is 5 years old. And if you can't use appropriate language with a 5-year-old, I'm going to have to ask you to disembark the tractor trailer and wait for us back at the bus.
If you're happy and you know it, then you're next to the song. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
How do you like it, huh? Oh, God, what have I done?
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Ew, what's that?
Oh, I got caught in the middle of a jam fight. Don't taste it, okay?
Yep, there's the trailer. What do you think of the trailer? Do you think it reflects the movie well?
It definitely does, I think.
Yeah.
Going into this movie, I didn't really know much about it other than who was in it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what any of the characters were like or anything else. I was just like, oh, I know like there's gonna be a random fight scene at one point. Obviously, I know there's zombies. And I know there's a bunch of kids. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. This is
Yeah.
nice. So I think if I had watched the trailer first, I would have been like, I honestly would have been more hesitant to watch the film because it just seems too goofy.
Oh, really? To me, the
Yeah.
trailer seems more like zombie, like more intense. Like it has like, because like I feel like there's more quiet moments in the actual movie than there are in the trailer. But of course, trailers are designed to give you all the big moments. So I don't know.
Well, also, I couldn't see the trailer as you were just playing
that's
it.
true.
So just hearing that, I was just like, oh, yeah.
All right, so the film we're doing is Little Monsters from 2019, not to be confused with the Fred Savage film, which I've still never seen. But
That's what I thought you wanted me to watch when you first talked to me. I was like, oh my God, yes, this is one of my favorite movies.
Well, I'm very sorry to disappoint you in that in that event. But I don't think there's any romance in it, so probably will never like hit this podcast. Yeah,
Probably not, but it's a great movie. You should watch it.
Okay, and this one is written and directed by Abe Forsyth, and it stars Lupita Nyong'o and also Alexander England, Josh Gad, and Diesel La Torraca, who's a kid actor.
So, here's the basic premise of the film. You have Dave, who's an immature, unemployed musician who just broke up with his girlfriend and moved in with his sister and his 5-year-old nephew, Felix, who is a delightful young man. When he takes Felix to school one day, he becomes attracted to one of Felix's teachers, Miss Caroline, and agrees to chaperone on their field trip to Pleasant Valley Farm. At Pleasant Valley Farm, David is annoyed when the children's show star Teddy McGiggle shows up and begins to flirt with Miss Caroline. Soon, however, Dave has bigger problems to face as Pleasant Valley Farm is invaded by zombies from a nearby U.S. military base. Now, David is challenged to help Miss Caroline fight the zombies and protect the children from the truth.
Yep. I think it's an awesome premise for a movie, and in a second, I'll be telling about how it came about. So here's some interesting facts about the movie. It was shot in Sydney, Australia, and financed and produced by Screen Australia. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January 2019, and then it was given a limited release in October 2019. But Hulu had bought part of the distribution rights, so it quickly debuted on Hulu. It didn't really get much of a theatrical release. So, and the film is still currently streaming on Hulu, and you can't seem to get it at my local library. And my library has a lot of stuff available, so I don't think it's probably at libraries. But you can buy it on DVD and Blu-ray. But I think Hulu's trying to keep it pretty much exclusive to their site. So I want to talk about the inspiration for this film because it was so interesting to me. So the writer and director Abe Forsyth was inspired to make this movie by a few things. Like, first of all, his son. His son had some health problems and allergies, and so it was really hard for him to send his kid off to his first year of kindergarten. And it was really hard for him to trust him with the caretakers because he hadn't been with other caretakers before. But his son ended up having a great kindergarten teacher, which, as we talk about the plot, you'll see that this inspired a big part of the plot. And then the other inspiration was he went on a field trip with his son's school, and they were on what he called a tractor train. I think that's what they call it in Australia, like a tractor kind of thing. They were on a tractor train, and then the driver stopped to go investigate something. And it came into his mind all of a sudden, what if the thing that the driver's investigating turned out to be a zombie? What would happen? And the idea of the movie then just kind of sprung into his head. Like, that's how he would structure the movie about his anxieties about his son going off to school with a zombie attack. And I think that's such a cool example of how writers and directors think of ideas, just in their regular life, kind of imagining what if. And I was researching it. Apparently, there were over 1,000 zombie extras in this movie wearing makeup, and they were filming sometimes in over 100-degree heat, which sounds not fun.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And Lupita Nyong'o said the shoot was challenging. She says, quote, "We were working with children, animals, blood, three things that they never do the same thing twice."
That
And
is so true.
and Youngo also learned how to play the ukulele for the movie, and she had never played a stringed instrument before. So I think that's pretty impressive. So we're going to talk a little bit about our general opinion of the movie. So you already mentioned that you hadn't seen it before, I think.
Yep, this is my first time watching it. I watched it yesterday.
Okay. And like, what are your impressions then, like as a fresh viewer of the film?
I rather liked it. I'm happy I liked it. Shaun of the Dead is one of the zombie romances that on my first viewing, I hated.
Really?
I absolutely despised that movie. I have no idea why, because afterwards, every time I watch it, I'm like, okay, it's good. It's not the best, but I like it a lot. But that first viewing, for some reason, I was like, just everything about this movie sits wrong with me.
Wow.
And the only other movie really that I've seen zombie movie with children that I can remember off the top of my head would be the 2014 Elijah Wood film Cooties.
I haven't seen that one. Yeah.
It's absurd.
Okay.
It is a comedy.
Yeah. Is it good?
I love it. It's
okay.
It's the students become zombies from eating tainted chicken nuggets. And that's that. You can tell how serious this movie is just from that.
So how does this one compare then to like that one or the others that you've seen in your mind?
This one is definitely more serious than Cooties, which I like. Having that seriousness of like, I used to be a teacher, how would I react in that moment? It definitely made me like put myself in her shoes quite often. Being like, wow, like she is just so brave. And I'm assuming we're going to talk about it later. There is one scene in that movie where I was just like, oh my gosh, this one scene right here is like what I aspire to be. So again, I rather liked the movie, and comparing it to other movies, I would have to say it's nice that it had that hint of seriousness to it. Do I think the romance was kind of forced? A tiny bit. Yeah, I think like it could have done without the romance. I understand why the romance was there. I understand at the end how the romance worked and everything, but I was like, did this really need that? I don't think so.
Well, I'm a romance person. Like, I mean, obviously I am because I'm running a romance podcast. And I really like horror romance too, because it like weds the two genres that I like love the most. So I think like I would always choose to have a romance in a movie if I could. Like I kind of agree that I'm not sure if this was the most likely one, but I do like the actors' chemistry with each other. And I also,
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I also really like all the lead actors. Like, I'm really looking forward to hearing more about your opinion of Josh Gad later. But Lupita Nyong'o is like such a great actor. She's one of my favorites, and even though she's done relatively little, she's kind of like impressed me so much with what she has done. And the kid actor in this, oh my god, is so good. Like, and all the kids are cute too. So I just was really drawn in by the personalities and also, the seriousness and also having an emotional angle to a zombie movie. But,
and I would say one of the things I found myself doing, especially if they did like kind of a close up of all the kids together during certain points, like if you just pause the movie, some of these kids' facial expressions, I burst out laughing. They are so good. Like they just look so annoyed and angry and just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, this is great. I love this. Like little blonde girl with the pigtails. You're my favorite actor in this movie right now.
I need to pay more attention to the background acting. So we're going to talk about the cast and crew in depth. We're only going to mention one of the child actors, but I really like shout out to all of those kids. They did such a great job. First of all, the director and writer, Abe Forsyth. So he is an Australian actor, writer, and director. And he's only done 2 other feature films. One is called Ned, and the other is called Down Under. I really tried to find a place to watch Down Under because it looked really interesting. It looked like it was dealing with like racial tensions in Australia based on like a true event that happened. But I don't think it's available to stream in the US. But it looked super interesting. And it also has Alexander England, the lead from this movie, is in that. And he's done a lot of other work on TV and short films as well. His Abe Forsyth's most recent work is a TV series called Wolf Like Me, which stars Josh Gad, and that's going to be out in 2022. And he is set to direct RoboCop Returns. Like,
Ooh,
I didn't know that RoboCop was returning, but apparently he is. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for that now. Nice.
Okay, and then next up we've got Lupita Nyong'o, and she was born in Mexico to Kenyan parents, which hence the name Lupita. She was raised mainly in Kenya, and then she went to school in the US. She graduated from the first college that I went to. I didn't graduate from it, but she graduated from Hampshire College, which was this really wild, like, you don't have grades and you make up your own major kind of school. So I thought that was really interesting because it's such a small place, and she also went there. And she also got a master's degree at the Yale School of Drama. Yale is a place I very much have not attended, so... She started out working actually as a production assistant, but then she eventually made her way back to Kenya, where she was on a Kenyan TV show called Shuga. And she made her feature film debut as Patsy in 12 Years a Slave in 2013. And she got a Best Supporting Actress Oscar on her very first feature. So,
Which is just amazing.
Well deserved too, though. And in addition to that, Nyong'o went on to appear in 2 of the biggest film franchises of our time. She's Maz Kanata in the Star Wars sequels, and she's Nakia in Black Panther. And in addition to that, she starred in the movie Queen of Katwe, and she was in Jordan Peele's follow-up to Get Out, Us, which is my favorite performance by her. And quite frankly, I think she was robbed of, she should have had a Best Actress award for that movie, in my opinion. I don't know if you've seen Us.
I fully agree. I also know how hard it is for anything horror to really get awards, which is sad to think about. But her performance in that movie was just, there are no words for it. It was just so good.
Playing 2 versions of herself and the physicality and amazing. So she blows me away. And so right now she's filming Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And for a while, it looked like she was going to be starring in a TV adaptation of the novel Americana. But as far as I can tell, that's not going on right now. I mean, it's still on IMDb, but the last news I saw about it was that it was not happening. So that's too bad. But yeah, I'll watch whatever she does, basically.
Oh, same.
And then we've got Alexander England. He is the male lead in the movie. He's an actor in theater, television, and movies. I think mainly he's appeared in Australian productions. I can't swear to that, but I didn't recognize the stuff he had done for the most part. But before Little Monsters, he also appeared in Abe Forsyth's Down Under, and the movies Gods of Egypt and Alien Covenant were some of the more well-known kind of U.S. features he'd been in. And he's continued to work steadily, but he's not really broken out in the U.S. And I don't know if that's because he kind of like he feels kind of like he fills in that Chris Pratt kind of place. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that he can kind of break out here, though.
Yeah, he's also pretty tall. I know it's kind of hard for tall actors sometimes, but yeah, he has a lot of charisma, though, I think. And
he's delightful.
And then, okay, first I'm going to introduce about Josh Gad, but then I got to hear about your opinion on him, okay? So Josh Gad is the kind of nemesis character in this movie. He plays a children's TV singer called Teddy McGiggle, but he turns out to be not so nice. His first credit on IMDb was in 2002, and he had many years of just doing like small appearances on TV and movies. He was in Love and Other Drugs. He was one of my favorite characters in the movie The Internship. He was in the movie Jobs. And he also worked on Broadway. He had a Tony-nominated performance in The Book of Mormon. But his breakout role had to be probably voicing Olaf in Frozen, the snowman character. And since then, he's appeared as LeFou in the live-action Beauty and the Beast. He's had roles in the Angry Birds movie and its sequel, A Dog's Purpose and its sequel, Murder on the Orient Express, and the TV shows Central Park and Avenue 5. And as mentioned, he's going to appear soon in the Abe Forsyth TV show Wolf Like Me. And he has a lot of other things in production, including some kind of Beauty and the Beast TV miniseries and a movie called Shrunk, which is going to be a reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So I kind of like Josh Gad. When I see Josh Gad in a show or something, I'm usually a fan. Like, not you?
No, I liked him in Frozen, but that's probably because I couldn't see him in Frozen. He, especially watching interviews with him. I watched a couple of interviews, and like I've seen him in interviews before, but I watched a couple talking about this movie. And one of the things, and this could just be me, is I just got the impression that he wasn't actually listening to his coworkers, to his other co-stars. He was waiting for his next chance to speak. Just seeing him not give the floor properly to his coworkers for them to say what they want to say, it bothers me a lot.
Okay. So it's just kind of observing him like doing promo, and you're kind of like, you're over that. Okay.
Also, like, even like his acting, I'm just like, this, I feel like you're trying to go for laughs too often, and not every single second of every single movie you are in needs to be a laugh.
Fair enough. All right. Okay, and then finally we're going to go to Diesel La Torraca, and he's the young actor who plays Felix, the nephew character. He was born March 1st, 2011, so he would have been only 8 when Little Monsters was released. I'm not sure how old he was when it was filming, but obviously younger than 8. And Little Monsters was his first IMDb credit. And he's been working steadily since then, and including he's had work in the TV show Ginny and Georgia, which our co-host Sybil recommended on a now streaming episode. So I haven't seen that one yet, but like, I hope that he doesn't fall victim to like, child actor problems, because I think he's so good in this.
Yes, definitely. I'm really excited to see where he goes in the future, which is something that I don't usually feel with child actors.
So now we're going to talk a little bit just about like zombie rom-coms in general and like how they've developed over time. So like there's basically 2 types of zombie rom-coms. There's those where there's a couple gets together while fighting zombies, and there's those where one member of the couple is a zombie or becomes a zombie during the movie. And we're going to be doing both kinds this month for Every Rom Com. Little Monsters is definitely the fighting zombies together variety. For me, that's the type I've traditionally preferred, but like I haven't seen Warm Bodies yet, so maybe I'll change my mind. Who knows?
Oh, you will. You will change your mind. It's, again, that movie is, I love it so much.
And so the first zombie rom-com I remember seeing, like, okay, I'm kind of wrong about this because I had down that the first zombie rom-com I saw was Shaun of the Dead in 2004. But then I remembered that there is actually a romance in the movie Dead Alive or Brain Dead. It had 2 titles, directed by Peter Jackson. And that was all the way back in 1992. I guess like the romance didn't stick out as much in that one to me though, because it was kind of like a gore fest. Like it was definitely a comedy, but there was just like blood everywhere. Have you seen that one?
It's been a long time, but there was definitely a romance in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, okay. All right. I haven't seen that one. Okay.
Which, like, that one is, I think there's an element of, if I remember correctly, of both types of romances in that movie.
And like some of the other like early zombie rom-coms that were the in love with the zombie type, 1993, Return of the Living Dead 3, and the movie My Boyfriend's Back, and also in 1993, and Cemetery Man in 1994, which I just recently rewatched, and it was terrible. I used to love it when I was younger, and I rewatched it. I'm like, no.
I have never heard of that one or My Boyfriend's Back.
If you had a VHS player, I would mail you the copy of Cemetery Man I had, but like you can
Sadly, I don't.
Yeah, it's out of print basically. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and then others in the genre, the In Love with the Zombie, we talked about Warm Bodies, and then there's Life After Beth. And others in the fighting zombies together genre include Night of the Living Deb, which I saw, and that was pretty cute. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I still have like a thing about that I don't want to see because the author of the original book disrespected Jane Austen, but who knows? Maybe I'll break that next year. And there's also like a bit of romance in the Dawn of the Dead remake with Sarah Polley's character, which I liked.
Yeah.
so we already kind of talked about whether we like zombie rom-coms. Like, I think you like some of them, but I think you also just don't need the romance. Would that be a fair assessment? Or
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the romance actually adds to the story, which is really nice. But sometimes it's just like, oh, you just wanted to put a romance inside of this zombie movie.
and like that's an interesting thing because to me, I'm like, I wonder why people will want to put the romance inside the zombie movie. Like, is it because they're trying to market it to more people, or is it just like that there's a particular niche of people like me, I guess, who just like to put the two genres together? I don't know.
I think it's definitely a societal thing of I know a lot of screenwriters feel that if there's not a romance, it's boring.
Hmm.
So people will just add it in there just so it can be more relatable. And it's something I know the asexual community has been like, so you're calling all of us boring because we're not romantic. And it's one of those things again that's why I sometimes feel like it can be forced. But I feel like Little Monsters, it was a little bit forced, but not like I'm going to shove this romance down your throat forced.
Sure.
Which I liked that about it a lot.
Like for me, like I think in the horror genre though, it's like maybe one of the genres that's least susceptible to having like a romance put into it because in a way, like when I meet people who are big horror fans or big rom-com fans, sometimes they're like polar opposite people. Like a lot of horror fans want nothing to do with romance and a lot of romance fans want nothing to do with horror. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
like I find the horror rom-com tends to be a little rarer. Like I've had a hard time digging up enough for this series. I think I could probably dig up 3 years worth of a series of like 4 movies each, but that's about it. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I think you're right. Like in general, like action movies tend to put a romance in. Comedies often have a small romance in them, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as common in horror, which is
If-
maybe why I like this genre so much.
But if anything, like I think romance is often downvalued by society and like thought of as bad or like you said, trashy, like some of the books, like more so than the action genre or the horror genre. It's kind of like one of the reasons I started the podcast because like romance tends to be viewed as like a woman's world a lot of the time. And a lot of time things that are associated with women are thought of as lesser than or like less serious. My theory is that like I think maybe romance is put in because it's marketable sometimes, but I'm not sure if people are putting it in because they think a movie needs to have it as much as they're people maybe thinking of dollars and cents, or people like me who are just like total like romance junkies. Like every horror movie I will ever write will have a romance in it. But
I feel like also like just like having that you have your target audience and to make it bigger is nice.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm not sure what the appeal of it in a zombie movie specifically is, but like I think like maybe with the ones where you're falling in love with the zombie, it's kind of like taking it to the next level. Like not only is there a zombie apocalypse, but like now you're dealing with the ultimate question of like, could this zombie have humanity? And how are you going to deal with that? I mean,
Which in that case, please put romance in there. I would want there to be romance in that because it is such like a fundamental feeling that so many people have.
and then in like the fighting zombies together, I think it works the same way like something like Speed works, where like people are in an intense situation together, they may fall in love. So I think that's like the appeal of it too for a lot of people. Like you like enemies to lovers, a lot of people like people fighting an enemy together trope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which
Or,
I also do like that trope of people fighting together, but that's mainly because I'm like teamwork, yay!
Yeah. So we're gonna start the movie now. Get into the movie. So we start out with an opening montage, and you see a series of fights between Dave, the main character, and his girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, Sarah. And like they're just, I don't even know what all they're arguing about. Just like stupid stuff, like
Everything.
yeah, and in public and loudly and in front of Sarah's friends. And like one thing to note is in all of the fights, she keeps calling him a child and telling him he needs to grow up. And there's another scene where she's admiring little babies at the store, and he looks like he doesn't have much interest in that. And
Yeah, that was the only time when they weren't yelling at each other.
Yeah. Well, and that, and when you see just Dave by himself, where he's like masturbating with VR goggles on and smoking weed, and then
Yeah.
he's busking. He plays like this, like kind of like what he describes as death metal stadium rock. But I don't know. You like metal? Like, what does his music seem like to you?
Trash.
Yeah.
It's he doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see that he doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah, and he seems to
Yeah.
be unemployed as well. Like, I don't think he has like a job type job. So
He reminds me of a little bit of Jack Black's character in School of Rock.
I haven't seen that for a long time.
That, like, when I found out, like, oh, it's a musician, I was like, oh no, is this movie gonna turn into like a zombified version of School of Rock?
There's a new idea. So at the end of all this, the couple breaks up. So you have the character has his breakup right before you even get into the main movie, which is good.
And there is a quote that I really like.
What's that?
I believe she said during dinner one night, which was, there is a big difference between being with someone and being there for someone. Which is something that I've definitely related to a lot. Like, yeah, sure, you can be with someone. That's easy. That is super easy. But to actually be there when somebody is having a bad time, that is so much more.
And that's what David needs to learn in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Dave goes to live with his sister Tess and her son, his 5-year-old nephew Felix. I love how things are introduced into the script early on that just pay off every time, but in a subtle way. So you see Teddy McGiggle on the TV right away. He's a TV children's star, and Felix is watching him. You see, like, the bad word song is introduced when Dave swears, which I love. I'm going to sing a little bit of it. You can sing it with me if you want.
I don't remember all the lyrics, but it was like,
I'll sing it. Bad word, bad word. 'Cause you said a bad thing. Now we all have to sing tra la 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 la. And you're gonna hear this song like over and over in the movie. Like, the kids hear a swear word in the movie and they all start singing it. It's hilarious. Like, I got that stuck in my head. And
it's
you also,
easy to.
Yeah. And you also see Dave, like, it teaches Felix to play a video game, which involves, I believe, zombies. And you are introduced to the fact that Felix has a teacher called Miss Caroline who plays Taylor Swift. And you're introduced to Felix's allergies, and he's allergic to fish, dairy, eggs, sesame, nuts, and gluten, apparently. And finally, his love of tractors. Felix loves tractors. And like Dave at the beginning of the movie is very dismissive of this. And all of this is going to pay off.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice having a payoff.
And then, so Dave is really not behaving appropriately. He's swearing in front of his nephew, and like, it gets worse. He wakes up Felix in the middle of the night, and he takes him over to Sarah's house. And his idea is he's going to propose to Sarah with like, "Will you marry me?" written on the back of his greasy pizza box. And he's going to have Felix go in first wearing a Darth Vader costume, like a full costume with like a lightsaber and everything. And this does not go well, because Sarah is already sleeping with having sex with some guy named Rory. And rather than like pulling like Felix out of there like a normal adult would, Dave just starts having a fight with her in front of Felix, who remains in character as Darth Vader for the entire scene, which is amazing. What do you think of this particular scene? Did it amuse you?
I enjoyed it. One, the kid stayed in character. Bless. Two, I really liked how, so Rory is one of her coworkers.
Yeah.
And I really like how she mentioned, like, no, Rory's in touch with his emotions. And during the fight, it gets physical at one point, and Rory just like shuts David down physically. It's wonderful. And I'm like, this is nice, because like, again, he's in touch with his emotions and he can kick your ass. It's the best of all worlds.
And then after Rory punches Dave out, basically, he tells Felix, "Violence is never the answer." And then Felix's Darth Vader says, "If you only knew the power of the dark side." He has like a much better Darth Vader voice than I do, by the way. Like, it's pretty amazing. Yep. Like, then we find out that through this argument that Sarah and Dave were together for 9 years, which is a very long time to be with somebody that you end up in that kind of screaming argument with, in my opinion.
Yeah, that surprised me that they were together for such a long time.
Yeah, maybe they were happy for the first 7. Who knows? But yeah,
I feel like her wanting kids would have come up earlier and like not as suddenly. I don't understand how somebody can be with somebody for that long of a time and just like that conversation not come up.
I mean, it could be that he was always delaying it and saying later, like not yet.
That's true.
So I think it's interesting because I think this movie, like, it doesn't hit anyone over the head with it, but I feel like it does kind of like presuppose that wanting children is a good and mature thing to be or do. Did you feel that message was like too prominent or like in the movie, or did you feel like it was okay? Because I felt like that was kind of there.
It was kind of there. I feel like Miss Caroline's reaction to him not wanting kids fixed that for me. I feel like she didn't, and also David's sister, like both of them were like, it's nothing to be afraid of. They didn't, neither of them were like, hey, you should do this thing.
Yeah.
Like it'll be different when you have them. Of course, I also feel like people don't really say that to men.
Not as much, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dave takes Felix back home. Obviously, he doesn't get back together with Sarah. Sarah's not having it at all. And Tess finds out what Dave did, taking Felix to Sarah's house. And Felix, I love how they write the kid in this because they always have the kid repeating the inappropriate things that he hears, like, but just in a kid way. Like, he says that, like, I don't even remember, like, he's used the phrase slutty vagina that Dave had said to Sarah in some context. And Tess is like over it. She's like, that's it. It's so inappropriate. You took him out of the house. I can't believe you're like using that kind of language around him. You're out. But Dave starts crying. And then Felix asks if he can stay. And he's kind of let to stay in a very probationary way and made to help out by taking Felix to school the next day. Like, I just wanted to point out, though, again, like, I love the way Felix is written. I love the way all the kids are written, the way they say these adult things without really understanding them.
Yeah, it always makes me wonder, like, oh gosh, did this kid actually understand what he was saying?
So actually,
like,
interesting thing about that, in one of the interviews I saw, they had him repeat a bunch of phrases, like when they were filming that scene, and nonsense things, and they had him say them all like they were all the line, so it kind of got lost in a sea of other phrases.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Good, because I'm like, oh no, this child, his innocence.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dave does take Felix to school, and there he meets Miss Caroline. And before he meets Miss Caroline, though, Felix has a kind of like a vegetarian, veganish diet. And all the kids make fun of him for it. I mean, it's because of his allergies in this event, but they make fun of him. And Dave is kind of like trying to like taunt the little kids who make fun of him in return because he's kind of on the level at this point of the other kids. Like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's very much what's that movie with Adam Sandler? Where he's in school.
Oh, I don't remember, but I know what you're talking. No, that's not it. Yeah.
But it reminded me of that, of just like, wow, you are just actually you could be in this class with them.
So Dave is like immediately like struck by Miss Caroline the moment he even just like sees her in her like full skirted dress and everything. And like we also find out Miss Caroline's name that her friends call her is Audrey, although you pretty much never hear anyone call her Audrey but herself for the entire movie. And I can't even think of her as Audrey. I don't know why. It's hard. Like, I guess because we're not
her friend.
Yeah, we never met. So, and Dave like pretends that he's like this really great guy. As soon as he meets her, he pretends he loves kids and that he's helping his sister who's having a nervous breakdown rather than crashing with her. And then they go into like Miss Caroline teaching. And on this show, we've done a couple episodes where I've like been really upset with the way they portray teachers, like as ridiculous and like not teaching in an appropriate way. Miss Caroline is an awesome teacher. Like,
oh my gosh, I love her so much.
Yeah. And she's the classroom management is amazing. Like she does this thing, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. And then the kids go, 1, 2, eyes on you. And like I've never done that before, but like if I ever went back to teaching kids, I would totally do that.
I wish I had thought of doing something like that. Like I was the type of teacher who'd be like, okay, look at me. Or I would start doing something physically, like I would hold up my hand. And my students knew that they had to copy me.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as like enough students were paying attention, I would then move my hand to a different location or like move both of my hands. And I would know that all my kids were paying attention to me finally when everybody in the classroom was doing like these really weird hand motions. And I'm like, man, the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me would have been so much easier.
Yeah, and it had clapping too, which I didn't do. It was like 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and then they were like 1, 2, eyes on you. It's better with the clapping.
It was so nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then she
Did
does.
you?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Did you ever have to do like I don't know what levels you taught really? Did you ever have to like do a song with your kids?
Oh yeah, a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Because this reminded me of my hello song that I was forced to sing every time.
Wait, do you remember this song? Can you sing?
I
some?
do. It was hello, 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 hello. How are you? I like to see you, and you, and you, and you. And then it was me asking each kid like, just how are you?
Yeah.
There was this wonderful moment I hated where it was Parents' Day, and the parents came in, and my school made me do the hello song to the parents, and then ask them how they were. Except the parents didn't speak English.
That is so awkward.
So
oh my god.
It was horrifying. But it was definitely one of the songs that I was like, I actually like this song. If I ever teach kindergarten again, I'm definitely going to continue doing this.
I'm totally blanking on all my songs right now. It's sad because like I have some, especially for my nanny days, that I could totally sing if I could remember them, but I'm blanking right now. So, but yeah, songs are an important part of working with kids for sure.
And I also like how she said hello to each kid as they walked in. Like she gave them all like a really enthusiastic high five.
Yeah.
Which was nice. I liked that.
Yeah, Miss Caroline is a great teacher. And like again, this was inspired, like the movie was inspired by the director and writer's son's kindergarten teacher. And I think that's so awesome because a lot of people don't respect teachers enough, especially teachers of young children. And
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really great to have that highlighted here. And so Dave watches Miss Caroline as she sings the Make a Circle song, and he leaves the classroom. Then he comes back in the afternoon with his guitar and his God Sledgehammer, the name of his band, his God Sledgehammer shirt on. And like he's clearly, trying to show off. And she asks what kind of band it is, and she asks if it's Christian rock, and she says, "'Cause I'm a Christian." And at first he's like, "Oh, it's death metal stadium rock," but then he's like, "No, it's a Christian rock, totally." Yeah. He's just totally trying to BS her and like get together with her. And
I did like how they had him carry his guitar. Obviously it was very annoying. But I felt like it gave a nice representation of I am like holding on to my past.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I know like I do that sometimes, especially with Korea. I miss Korea a lot. And I'm always like, yeah, like if I did have like a physical aspect to hold from there, I would.
Huh.
And it would be nice to like one day be like, okay, I think I'm like ready to move on from that country where I lived for years.
Yeah.
But like right now I'm like, yeah, I would totally hold on to like, I don't know, something that reminds me of there.
Yeah, some kind of totem. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That'll come into play later. I'm gonna say why later when we get to that section. But I didn't think of it that way before. Then like somebody drops out of like chaperoning the field trip because they're like sick. And so Dave right away jumps in and says, "I'll be the chaperone." And back at home, we see Dave masturbating to Miss Caroline's picture. And at first you only see her face. And then like when he puts it back on the wall, it's like her and the entire class of kids. Awkward.
That disturbed me too. No end. I was just like, oh God, no, not the children.
Yeah.
Oh God, like you could have like at least covered it up.
Yeah.
Like, throw a towel.
maybe he did while he was doing it. We don't know 100%, but like, yeah, like it was a pretty, I thought it was a pretty funny sight gag, but like, just like showing the extent to which this guy is like, just not grown up yet,
Yeah.
And then, because he's doing the field trip, Tess shows him how to do, I think it's the EpiPen, some kind of a shot for his allergies. And she says, blue in the sky, orange in the thigh. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I got it. Will also pay off, not surprisingly. It's like so obvious, like blue is in the sky. Yes. Like, I think one could remember that, you would hope, but okay. So then we get to the field trip and they're on their way to the field trip yet. Their bus has broken down. There's been no zombies yet. And we get to hear Miss Caroline singing Shake It Off. So I'm going to play a little clip of that first.
All right. Then the player's gonna play. And the haters gonna hate. I'm just gonna shake. Shake it off. And louder now. Shake it off. 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 Shake it off.
That's so cute. I like the way the kids
that
are
last
singing.
scream. Oh God.
Yeah. So Shake It Off is a Taylor Swift song, came out in 2014 and it was on the album 1989. And I was a big fan of that song when it came out. Whenever Noribong had it, I was very happy. And
Yes.
what was your opinion of the song at the time?
I liked it.
Okay. Cool.
I think it's a fun song. It's fun to dance to. I would never sing it because I just wouldn't be able to handle singing it.
It has some high notes. There's some high notes in that.
There are.
So this is like the funny thing about Shake It Off being in this movie and David being on the field trip is it's like the exact opposite of the music he likes. Like he's already made fun of Taylor Swift before he met Miss Caroline. And it's also the opposite of what you might expect here in a zombie movie, although I think a lot of zombie movies are moving towards deliberately having elements that seem jarring. So another interesting thing is how they got the rights to Shake It Off. Cause like you might like, why would Taylor Swift like give her song to this like very minor, like Australian film? But what happened was, Lupita Nyong'o, when she actually read the script, she was happy that the Taylor Swift song was in the script because she actually had like this like personal relationship to the song. When it came out, she was going through a difficult time in her life and she and one of her friends listened to it and it really like helped relieve her stress and they had a dance party to it. So she actually wrote herself to Taylor Swift and shared her story about what it meant to her and like what it meant to the film and convinced Taylor Swift to let them use it for the movie. And I thought that was so cool. I think it was great that she let the song in the movie and just let Lupita Nyong'o would reach out like that too.
Yeah, and it's also nice because it's like somebody who started out as a production assistant like has moved up in the ranks and now has power to also just be like, hey, can we use your song to like another celebrity? And it worked.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Winning the Oscar probably helped you.
Oh God, yeah. Again, like she moved up. She moved up a lot really fast.
Yeah. So after they sing Shake It Off, like Miss Caroline asks Dave to sing. And I'm wondering, like, did she expect it was going to be good or did she think he was going to make a fool out of himself? I don't know.
I don't think she expected the amp to come out.
And then, like, before he sings, he's pretending to be a Christian rock band. And he's like, he quotes Leviticus. He says, if anyone curses their mother or their father, they must be put to death. And he's like, that's in the Bible. At which point he sings a song that's like kind of cursing his father, like, daddy, daddy, where have you gone? Or something like that. And it's like a whole mess. And the kids are like covering their ears and like looking at each other like, who is this insane person, basically? I don't know.
They should.
I don't know. I think some kids might get into it. I don't know.
I feel like they all would have just gone deaf, honestly. He caused at least two of those kids to have tinnitus.
Well, pretty soon tinnitus will be the least of their problems because meanwhile, at the evil U.S. military base, okay, so we get a scene of a U.S. military base where there's people hanging out, like discussing, like, I don't know, poisonous animals in Australia for a while. But then it's also established that they're doing experiments there, which are creating zombies. It is called Project Regeneration. And now the zombies are getting loose. And can you guess what movie this reminded me of? Like,
just right off the bat, like when it showed it, it reminded me of Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, okay. That's different than mine, but that's a good one too. Yeah.
And it's just because like they were walking through the thing, and honestly, the one military person was just a complete idiot.
Yeah. It does. I can see the Cabin in the Woods too, but for me, it was like immediately reminded me of The Host, though, where they were the evil U.S. scientists pouring chemicals into the home.
I was gonna say that I feel like more movies are doing that, where it's like, let's make fun of the Americans, which I completely agree with. Please do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely, The Host, yeah. But I feel like there's been a couple, I can't remember which one specifically, there's been a couple other movies in between The Host and this that's been like, look at the incompetence of the American military.
Yeah, and I think for me, the military scenes, like while I appreciated what they were adding thematically, they were like mostly the least interesting to me. I mean, did you feel the same way or like?
Oh, definitely. Again, like that one guy, I found him to be just to the point of idiotic that it wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
And it kind of bothered me because I'm like, okay, this is just like, you're pushing it too much. You don't have to go that far.
And that's the other reason it reminded me of Bong Joon-ho's The Host, because like it was one of his early films, and he has those like American actors who are like probably just like expats they grabbed off the street essentially, and like delivering their lines kind of like not so well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's like almost like it's from a different movie and it's been planted into it. But yeah. Anyway, so and while this is all going on at the military base, while the zombies have started to get loose and biting stupid military people, although I appreciated there was a competent female military person in the same scene. I'll say
yes,
that.
I did like that. I also liked how they had the Chinese family.
Oh yeah, you can tell about that.
Yeah, so they had a Chinese family just like in a car, just trying to get into the base because they were trying to get to Pleasant Valley Farm.
Yeah.
And of course the military is like, no, no, no. And then even that scene of like, I liked that because again, it sets something up that will pay off later.
So then they arrive at Pleasant Valley Farm, and I was curious, like, if this was a real place. I couldn't find a real place called this, but there are, like, the movie was shot in Sydney, and there are a lot of animal tourism sites around Sydney. So I'm going to put a link to a list of those in the show notes in case you happen to travel to Australia, live in Australia, etc. And among the ones that looked interesting to me are the Featherdale Sydney Wildlife Park, and that one is said to have the largest collection of native animals in the world. And among the things you can do there, you can cuddle a koala or a baby dingo. But there were like a ton of other experiences too. But I would totally cuddle a koala. I'd be into that.
That sounds, maybe not a koala. Koalas are terrifying, but that sounds really cool.
And then I'm sure they were only putting like the nice koalas with you or something.
Probably
like,
drugged to some extent.
Oh,
yeah.
I hope not. I hope not.
Koalas are terrifying. Yeah, I would love to go to a place like that. One of my favorite things about my kindergarten was they brought that into the school. I got to hold an albino anaconda once.
Oh, wow.
Like at my kindergarten, because they just brought these animals in. So I'm like, man, if we could go to somewhere like that and there'd be more animals, oh, it would have just been my favorite field trip ever.
And then like another place I wanted to mention, sorry, I don't want to cut you off at all because I want to hear more about this, but like there's a place called the Golden Ridge Farm also near Sydney, and you can actually feed the baby goats and lambs, and you see the kids in the movie are doing something like that. So there's like a couple places that are analogous to Pleasant Valley Farm that are actually around Sydney. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so, like, I think we've answered the next question. I was going to ask, would this be a field trip you'd want to go on? And it sounds like yes.
Oh my God, it's more than yes. I've been to petting zoos before. I love it. Goats are adorable. Lambs are adorable. Oh, I would have loved every single second of that.
And you wouldn't mind having to supervise the children there? You'd be okay with that part too?
I would. I would, as in I wouldn't mind doing that. Like, I feel like it would be just a lot of fun. Again, they brought it to our school.
Yeah.
There was also a Phoenix fox that came.
Oh.
And that Phoenix fox was not drugged at all. You knew this because that poor little animal just kept screaming.
Oh.
I know in the past, they had also brought in a bear cub into the school.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm like, man, why didn't I get to see the bear cub?
Oh, man.
But again, just like that experience of I was with the students then, obviously. I kind of had to hold them back a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But like all of them got a turn to kind of stand up and go in a nice line and pet the anaconda. And it was really fun.
That's awesome. So as soon as they get to this farm, before even seeing any of the animals, the kids spot Teddy McGiggle, the children's performer who we saw earlier on Felix's television, and they like go crazy. They're like so excited. So I'm going to play a clip of encountering Teddy McGiggle, and you're going to hear a little bit also of one of the Teddy McGiggle songs. So apologies.
Hi-ho, Frogsy! Well, aren't we having a super fun time on our trip down under? We've swam with the fish in the Great Barrier Reef. We've climbed to the top of the harbor bridge. And today, we are visiting the Pleasant Valley Farm to meet and learn about all the cute Australian animals.
I want to cuddle from a koala.
I bet you do, Frogsy! Whoa-wee! Look at the big crowd that's come out here to say hello to us and hello to you. What's your name, you big bundle of sunshine? Come on over here. Why don't you guys let the beautiful yellow lady come on through? What's your name, little lady?
Miss Caroline. My friends call me Audrey. My kids call me Miss Caroline. Not my kids, my students. They call me Miss Caroline.
Well, that is a beautiful origin story if I've ever heard one. All I know is your kiddlywink sure are lucky to have a teacher as pretty as you, Miss Caroline.
Well, I want to give Miss Caroline a cuddle.
I bet you do, Frogsy. Well, what do you guys say we do the McGiggle dance? Yeah! What do you say we do the McGiggle dance together? Excellent job, everybody. Settle down there, Tiddlywinks. There's more than enough Teddy to go around.
Remember to be nice and gentle.
Come with us as we giggle around in the McGiggle-mobile.
Toot toot, Teddy.
Traveling the whole world and sharing special memories with the Kiddlywinks.
We love the Kiddlywinks.
There's the most terrifying thing in this movie might be Teddy McGiggle. Like, he's dressed in this, like, he has tons of makeup on. He's dressed in this, like, green kind of, like, frog print suit with, like, a red bow tie. And, like, the Teddy McGiggle dance is, like, kind of like you put your arms kind of hunched up, or your shoulders kind of hunched up, and your arms kind of by your side, and then you move them up and down quickly. Kind of like you're like a frog, I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because it's Frogsy.
Yeah, because he has his little mascot guy, Frogsy, which is basically just like a really crappy sock puppet of a frog on some guy's hand. Yeah, and like he's just immediately, like, if you couldn't tell from the clip, he's like hitting on Miss Caroline, and he's like crazy over the top, like, hi-ho, Kiddlywinks, and his crazy giggle, and I'm just like, ah.
That was a really good impersonation.
Oh no, please don't tell me that. But like, I'm so glad I nannied for a while, and I'm so glad I never had to watch the likes of Teddy McGiggle, because I think it's like more annoying than any kids show I've ever seen. Like,
yes.
Like maybe like Barney is kind of annoying, but not to that degree. And like the Wiggles are actually kind of sometimes nice. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the Wiggles, the Australian group, but there's like 4 people in that group, and used to be 4 guys. I think there's women now or something, but like, yeah.
Yeah. The yellow Wiggle is a woman now.
Oh, you've kept up with the Wiggles. I haven't.
I saw a little documentary on her once. It's really cool. Yeah, no, I grew up in a family where my grandfather was a clown.
Oh my.
So like having like wearing a lot of makeup, having like that bigger than life outfit is something I grew up with. Also one of the reasons I'm not scared of clowns, like so many of my friends are.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminded me of that, except, you know, very obviously this guy hates his job. You can see it just like in every single time he talks and breathes and moves. It's like, oh, you just don't want to be here, buddy.
Yeah, like the smile doesn't reach his eyes, basically.
Not at all.
I think this is a really good representation though of that kind of like annoying children's character that is like omnipresent.
Yes.
If you're a teacher or if you're like a parent, you come to know this person whether you want to or not. Okay, so we're gonna move on to like the zombies invading the farm now. So, like the zombies are kind of invading gradually. Like you first see, and here's the payoff that you were talking about, Apple. Like the Chinese family is golfing. They finally made it to the farm. They're golfing, and a zombie approaches the fence of the putt-putt golf area. And I love this. The father thinks they're just like actors, and he tries to get a picture with them. And he's all ready to get his picture with the fake zombie, and instead he gets bit. And I'm like, I could see this happening.
Oh God, yes, definitely.
I mean, yeah, because number one, you don't think that zombies are real, really. Like if this really happened in real life, some people would probably think it was real right away and be prepared, and other people would be like, oh, it's just some costume.
Exactly. And I have to give a shout out to whoever did the makeup for this movie.
Oh, I wish I looked it up. I'm sorry I didn't look it up.
The zombies who you could tell were originally a part of the regeneration project. They like their faces were more taunt. You could see that they've been a zombie for a while. As opposed to all the other zombies. And you could tell them apart not only from their makeup, but they also had chains on them. And they were all wearing the exact same outfit. And I really loved that attention to detail of here's how you can tell like the original zombies who have started all this shit apart from everybody they've attacked in the past like hour.
Wow, I didn't notice that. That's really good observation. Wow.
I really like makeup.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I'm glad that you were here to make the observation. Cool. Now I want to rewatch it just to see that. That's cool. And so while this is going on, elsewhere on the farm, the kids are finishing their lunch, and Miss Caroline is trying to get Dave Dave asks if he can help with something significant. And Miss Caroline's like, well, you can help this kid throw out the trash. And he's like, that's, not good enough or something. I want some real job or something. He's still trying to impress her. Like, if you want to impress her, like, throw out the garbage, dude. Like seriously.
Yeah, just do what you're told. It's easy.
Yeah. But instead, like, he sees that she has a wedding ring, and he asks if she's married, and she says, no, it's my fiance. Like, I'm about to be married, my fiance Ian. And then he gets really butthurt. And like, instead of helping to pick up the trash at all, he just like shoves it off the table and acts like a big baby.
And again, that's one of the moments where like, if you just pause the film and just like Kim, the little kid's name was Kim. If you just look at her face and her just being like, what the fuck, dude? Like it is brilliant.
And so, yeah, then they go on to this tractor trailer ride, and they're supposed to be like going through a field and looking at sheep, but the sheep are like not there. Like, oh, what happened? And then the driver sees something up ahead, which we, the audience, know is going to be a zombie eating a sheep, but she doesn't know yet. She gets off to explore it. And meanwhile, like, Dave has gotten into another beef with Max, the kid who kind of bullies Felix. And he's trying to like fight back with Max like he's also a kid. And Miss Caroline takes him aside and he's like, you can't be like using inappropriate language or fighting with these kids. Like, you have to like grow up. Well, she doesn't say grow up, but she basically just lays down the law. And while they're having this discussion, the tractor trailer driver is getting eaten by the zombie in the distance. And then they turn into zombies. And then all of a sudden, oh shit, it's officially a zombie movie.
They did this a lot in Shaun of the Dead, where it's like, okay, two people are talking in the foreground, and in the background, you just see zombies just kind of going at it.
Yeah.
Which I'm always a fan of.
And then as soon as they realize that these zombies are attacking, Miss Caroline like immediately springs into action. She has Dave go drive the tractor trailer. And then she, meanwhile, has grabbed a pitchfork, and she is like going at the zombies with a pitchfork. And I love that she ends up inadvertently making like a scarecrow zombie. Well, no, on purpose, she makes a scarecrow zombie.
Yeah, that was very much on purpose.
Yeah, she like pitchforks this zombie to a tree, and then to like, so the kids won't notice it, she takes some hay and like stuffs it into the mouth, and it's already wearing like a hat. So it just looks like it's still moving, but it looks like a weird scarecrow. And yeah, she hops onto the tractor trailer. And now the ruse begins of her trying to convince the kids that this is all normal.
And this is also when the payoff starts of Felix loves tractors. Because when Dave got onto the seat, he was like, oh God. And Felix is like, yo, the clutch is on this side. Did you take off the parking brake? And David is just like, how do you know all of this?
He's like, I love tractors. I told you.
This is my thing.
Yeah, and I love that too, because kids do, like, they will become little experts at random things. And he just happened to pick the right thing for the moment. Good job, Felix.
Yeah.
So while they're driving away, Miss Caroline immediately begins to try to distract the kids. She starts singing a Little Bo Peep song. Little Bo Peep has lost his sheep and doesn't know where to find them, or something like that. And tells the kids that they're suddenly going to be playing a game and that this was the big surprise she was talking about. So she's trying to frame it all like that, and they look at the scarecrow zombie and they think, oh, it's part of the game. And then the people are all running around crazy trying to escape the zombies, and she says that they're going to have to play tag, and she points at like one of the Chinese people and says, isn't she good at it? And yeah. And I guess, does the tractor trailer break down, or no, there's something in the road, right?
Yeah, there's too many zombies in the road basically, and he doesn't want to go through them.
So they get off the tractor trailer and she tells them they're going to play tag and they have to form a conga line. And I'm like, wow, that's such a teacher thing. I did that when I was nannying, actually. I would make a conga line to get them to go to bed.
Really?
So, yeah. And so then they have to do this big escape. And first they try to go for their bus, but the bus has been overrun. And then they have to go towards the souvenir shop. And I love that, like, Dave is carrying this kid who has spina bifida, and he's using the kid's walker as kind of like a crude weapon, because these are slow zombies. They're not very capable zombies at all.
Yeah, they're the traditional Romero zombies.
But I feel like they're even less effective than Romero zombies. Like, what would you say?
Yes, because they're also, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only reason why they're less effective.
Yeah, like we'll get into later, like more about like their ineffectuality, but I'm just like, basically you just have to not go near them, essentially, and like avoid a clump. I mean that can be challenging at times, but if you avoid a clump, you'll probably be okay with these guys. So yeah. So finally they get to the souvenir shop, and Teddy McGiggle has barricaded himself into the souvenir shop. And like Miss Caroline thinks of initially like he's going to be like a normal person or a nice person and let them in. And he says, the problem is I was here first, so you've got to go fuck yourself. And she's like, but we have kids. And he's like, I don't give a shit. And yeah, fortunately though, this gift shop has some kind of tunnel. Like, I feel like in Australia, a gift shop would not have a little tunnel that like snakes could come through, but you know.
Well, it's not going directly into the gift shop. It's a tunnel to like an outdoor area.
But it's like enclosed by a wall too. Like,
it is. Yeah. I feel like it's for animals to come in and out of, maybe like rabbits and stuff.
Well, in any case, there's like a small tunnel, and the kids and Miss Caroline are all able to fit through it. But Dave, not so much. And plus, they want to be in a bigger area, you know, like where they're not vulnerable. So Dave climbs. Oh, go ahead.
One of the zombies stole Miss Caroline's fanny pack.
Oh.
As she was crawling into it. And it was hilarious because, like, the zombie just, like, looks at the fanny pack and, like, his arms are still straight out and he's now holding it with both hands. And, like, he walks away just still holding it.
Oh, that's right. That is funny. I forgot about that. Okay. So they're all like in the shop, in the side shop now, but Dave climbs up onto the roof and he bursts through this like structure at the top that's like looks like a chimney but isn't, kind of, and into the gift shop. And then he and Teddy McGiggle have this like crazy fight where they're like using like stuff like snow globes and staplers to fight with each other. I thought Dave's choice of the weapon as a stapler was very smart, actually.
Oh, totally.
And eventually Dave does win the fight, although it's kind of like a close one. And apparently a lot of it was improvised too, this fight, I should mention, like the day of. But Dave wins the fight and he lets Miss Caroline and the kids in. So before we move on to the next part of the plot, I just wanted to shout out that this movie, though, has a kindergarten teacher a teacher in general as the hero. Like, even though Dave is like pulling his weight, like in terms of like fighting Teddy McGiggle, like it is Miss Caroline who immediately springs into action, makes a plan, and also protects the children, not just physically, but mentally. And I think it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. Just like being like, it's somebody who she's thinking on her feet really well, and somebody who, no matter what, like can deal with emergencies even more so than like the greatest military in the world. It's nice to have that comparison.
That's true. Yeah, she's taking care of business. The military is not shown to be very competent in this movie. Yeah. I also think it's great because like teacher is such a hard job in real life, and like people don't think about all the aspects of it. And in this movie, you're not only seeing her having to deal with the challenging aspects of the zombies, but some of the challenging aspects that come with kids, like all the questions they'll ask and all their physical needs and like their emotional needs. And she's just taking care of all of them.
Yeah, I remember one of the field trips we went on when I was in the kindergarten. We went to an emergency preparedness field trip. And
Oh, wow.
it was not only for the students, it was for the teachers, where we were taught how to deal with the students in the case of a flood or a fire or an earthquake.
That's
and
cool.
It was really interesting in how to do it. The first thing we had to do was crawl, like army crawl, through a section as people, the balls that you find in ball pits, they were just throwing those over a wall onto us.
Huh.
And we had to kind of like protect the kids and be like, go under a table and protect your head at this point. And then like going through the smoke and be like, okay, cover your face so you know the smoke, you don't inhale it. So I'm just like, Miss Caroline totally could ace that workshop.
Yeah, for sure. So this is kind of a joke question, but my question is, what would you rather do for 24 hours? Fight zombies, like assuming they're slow zombies like these, or watch a class of kindergarten students?
So I was supposed to do a sleepover with my kids. I decided not to because more than one, but specifically one of my kids liked to bite.
Oh my God.
So no matter what, I'm going to get bitten, basically. So I'm like, at least with the slow zombies, I could just like hide somewhere and it would be okay. With the kindies, no, they would find me.
It's pretty good.
So I'm going to go with the zombies just so I could hide.
Now, I would probably go with the kindergarten kids just because, like, I don't want to become a zombie, like, on the off chance. However, like, I don't think anyone should underestimate how difficult it would be to have to supervise an entire class of kindergartners for 24 hours. Like, if in case you're one of those people who thinks that's an easy job, go do it for a little while and then report back to us. So now they're barricaded in the gift shop. They kind of, like, they sort of boarded up, but not really, because you could see throughout the rest of the movie there's, like, scenes where like you just see zombie faces pressed against the window.
They
like
boarded up like one window.
Yeah, they kind of board things up, but there's no phone available. They can't get anything on their cell phone. There's no landline. This is like, I will say, for landlines, like they can be useful. Okay,
they can. You should always have a landline.
We don't, so
neither do we. But we should always have one.
And so then Miss Caroline does basically like a little press conference with her students. They're all asking her questions. And she says they're playing a game and they just won the first level. And the kids start asking her questions like, when are we going to play putt-putt golf? Or when are we going to eat? You know, like things like that. And she's trying to calm them down and make them think that everything's fine. And then Teddy McGiggle is off in the corner, like, fresh from his fight with David, but he is not chastened. He wants to like scare these kids. He wants to like rip the Band-Aid off. So I have a clip of this interaction with Teddy McGiggle. It's a kind of a long clip actually. So we'll talk more about it after though.
Before you play the clip, I also want to mention how pissed off McGiggle is at David because David stapled his face.
Yeah.
So his face is no longer perfect. So, like, he's not only pissed at the situation, he's pissed, like, at this group of people who forced themselves into his hiding spot.
Yep. All right, here's our confrontation. Parts of it with Miss Caroline are a little quiet. I may try to solve that in post-production. We'll see. But it may be a little quiet, so but she is whispering at one point.
And if they don't eat you, you get bit, and then you become one of them. They're zombies.
Like in the shooty game?
Like in the shooty game. Can you tell us what the zombies do in the shooty game, please, Felix?
Well, if you make noise, they hear you. If they walk around and try to bite you, and the only way you can stop them is by shooting them in the face with your shooty gun and chopping their heads off.
Okay, but are the zombies real?
No, it's just a game. But Uncle David lets me play it when my mum's asleep.
Oh, there you go. The zombies are not real.
Like, fuck they're not! The Easter Bunny isn't fucking real! Father fucking Christmas isn't real! These inquisitive, get-eye fucking faces are real!
Bad word, 'cause you said a bad thing. Now
Shut the fuck up! Teddy McGiggle's gonna fill you guys in on some fast-breaking news. Bad word song that existed at a time when people weren't having their faces ripped off by motherfucking zombies. Fuckity fuck! You fucking little ducky!
Teddy McGiggle just needs a cuddle. Come on, let's have a word.
I don't want to cuddle, okay? You're going to change that attitude right now. Fucking zombies.
This is not a negotiation.
Hey guys, who's hungry? Yeah? Okay, well come get some. Here you go, man.
Are these okay, Uncle David?
Yeah.
Why is Teddy McGiggle crying?
I'm a celebrity.
You're a liability. I have no idea what we're all dealing with here, but my only responsibility is for these children's safety. If they are put in danger by anyone outside or inside this souvenir kiosk, my job is to remove that danger. I'm not going to let these children be traumatized by having them think a zombie is going to eat them alive. So, right at this very moment, these children believe they're in the middle of a game. A fun, harmless game. So if you don't turn that frown upside down, then so help me God, I am going to drag you out by that stupid bow tie and watch them rip you apart. Do I make myself clear? Let me hear you say it's a game, so they can hear.
It's a game.
In the voice you want.
It's a game! This is a game!
Do the laugh.
I don't want it.
Do the laugh.
I should point out that she has like a shell pointed to his, like a sharp shell pointed to his stomach while she's making him laugh and like say it's a game. So she has threatened his life basically if he doesn't get with the program.
This is the scene that I mentioned earlier that I was just like, I aspire to be like this. Like, I want to be that person who is just like, nope, I am calm, I am collected. If anybody else is not, I will mess you up until you are not.
Damn.
It's great.
And then she says, after this, she says to Teddy McGiggle, you can consider this the naughty corner. I love that. Yeah. And like, do you think this would work? Do you think these kids would believe that this is a game? Like, what's your opinion?
I think that kids know more than we give them credit for. I know for my kindergarten students all the way up to my middle schoolers, they could tell my mood very, very easily. After like a month of knowing me, they got to know me and they're like, oh, teacher is not okay today.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people take for granted a lot. Like, oh, they're kids. They're not going to notice things. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like, it's that thing of, I know a lot of teachers have said it, and a lot of people who work at zoos will say it, like, oh, they can smell your fear. Yes. That a truer sentence has never been told. Again, they can tell when something is wrong. And I think that they would kind of know. They wouldn't know the extent. Yeah. But I think part of them would know something is wrong. And part of them would be like, my teacher doesn't want us to know this. My teacher is scared. I want to protect my teacher. And obviously zombies, they're big. The windows aren't really blocked, as we mentioned before.
you can see them.
You can see every single thing. And like the fact that, especially as kids, like I don't know, obviously everybody, when I was a kid, I know like if I did move around a lot, I would think, oh, everybody moves around. You can't just like stand in one place for hours upon hours upon hours, which is exactly what these zombies were doing.
Yeah.
So I think even just seeing them in that exact same spot that they were in hours ago would be like, something is not right.
Yeah, you have to really suspend your disbelief, I think.
Yeah, and of course, like, it could also be self-protection.
Yeah.
Like, oh, something's really not okay. The teachers are scared. Oh no, I'm scared. Oh no, I need to now protect my own mind.
Yeah, I think in real life, though, at least a few of those kids would be freaking out, like for real. Like
they definitely would be. That's like the one thing in the movie. I'm like, that's not believable.
Yeah. It's a nice idea, though. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Life is Beautiful, you know, by Roberto Benigni, about the father protecting his son from realizing he's in the Holocaust. It's the same thing of like, it find it hard to believe that a father could actually protect his son from realizing. Have you seen that one?
I haven't. I've heard of it, and I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good movie, and I appreciate like the thought behind it, but like at the same time, it's hard to believe it could actually happen. It's more like a fable, like a version of what you aspire to protect kids from certain things. Anyway, yeah. Would you, if you were in her position, Miss Caroline, would you try to do what she is doing and try to convince them it's a game, or do you think you'd level with them?
No, I would try to convince them it's a game.
Yeah.
I do think, like, again, I treat my students like they're adults. I would tell my adults it's a game.
Yeah.
Because not only it would be a protection thing for my mind, I know that. Because I know, like, sometimes if I am in a traumatic thing, my brain immediately is just like, this is a game. And it's a self-protection thing that I know I do for myself. But I would be like, if you treat it like it's a game, it will be easier to do.
Sure.
And again, like, this whole movie, like, the thing is, you're protecting the kids, you're protecting their innocence, which I would definitely want to do.
Yeah. The only thing I would worry about is like, well, we'll get to that in the spoiler section, actually. Never mind. Right now, we're not in the spoiler. We're almost there. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So before we get to the spoiler section, while Miss Caroline has been dealing with Teddy McGiggle, Dave accidentally feeds Felix chips that he's allergic to. And Felix begins to have an allergic reaction, kind of like choking, like for breath. And Dave thinks he can give the allergy shot, and of course he gets it mixed up. And so they realize there is a spare EpiPen or whatever, but like it's in the tractor trailer in the backpack that was left behind. That is also the one thing that I think Miss Caroline did that I would expect like a superhero kind of person to be able to like, oh, maybe we should bring these backpacks. We don't know how long. But I mean, I'm impressed what she did anyway. I don't think I could have done what she did. So
yeah.
And anyway, now they need to figure out what to do with this. And Miss Caroline, Dave is going to go and run for it himself to get the backpack. But then Felix is like, no, don't leave me, to his uncle. So Miss Caroline decides she's going to run and get the allergy shot herself. Okay, so now we're going to go into the spoilers okay section. So at this point, you can reference anything that happens at any time in the movie. We're still going to tell the story mostly in order, but like we can reference things that happen later. And so what I'm going to reference, in reference to like the whether you should tell the truth to kids, the one thing that gives me pause is like later in the movie, we're going to see Felix is going to go off on his own to try to perform a rescue. And you kind of see in that scene that he really believes this is a game on some level, I think. I think you're supposed to think he thinks it's a game on some level. But like that could also get dangerous. Like you could, if you think it's a game too much and you don't know the stakes, I worry also that the kids won't appreciate like that they should be careful. I don't know. But yeah, that's my one caveat about that.
Yeah, it's always a danger. It's one of the reasons why it's like, keep the kids together. Pay attention at all times.
Yeah.
Block off all the exits. Like, he shouldn't have been able to get out of that building.
That's a good point. Yeah, for sure. Although it ends up with a good result. But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
still though, dangerous.
Yeah. So now we come to like Miss Caroline's big zombie fighting impressive scene. Like she runs really fast in these like heeled shoes. I'm like, oh my God, I bet you wish you'd worn sneakers that day. And she ends up decapitating several of the military zombies with a shovel. Like, honestly, like, she could have probably avoided them entirely, but, like, I guess, you know, a movie like this needs zombie decapitations.
Oh, God, yeah. Especially because earlier in the film, Felix did mention, like, oh, yeah, the only way to kill the zombies in the shooting game is to take off their head.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course they have to have that payoff.
So then Miss Caroline finally gets the tractor, and there's like a whole batch of like matching frog backpacks. I guess maybe they're supposed to be Teddy McGiggle backpacks, and she's like, typical. Like, and at first my mind went to like an Asian school where everybody gets assigned the same backpack or something. But I think this is supposed to be just that this show is so popular that they all have the same backpack.
I think so my nephews actually lived in Australia for a while.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
And yeah, and from what I remember from just seeing pictures of that time, they did have the same backpacks.
Okay.
It's just like a thing that happens only really in like the elementary phase and maybe like first grade, but past that, no. But yeah, for the younger kids, like, yeah, you want to say like, this is my school.
So she's like, this is like one of the teacher's problems though, when you need to find something, like, and usually it's probably been in much more mundane situations, but now it's like a life and death situation that she has to find like the one backpack. And
so many frog backpacks.
She finally finds it. She puts it on her back and she runs back to the gift shop with a frog backpack and a shovel, wearing a pretty yellow dress. Like, it's a great, like, series of shots, really. Like, I think.
And again, whoever did the costuming, oh yes, having that yellow dress, perfect.
Yeah, because it really sticks out. It really pops in the scenery for sure. And then like she gets back to the gift shop. She is like covered in blood and gore, and the kids notice it, and she says, "I was in a jam fight." It's like, and you hear in the trailer, "Don't taste it." I don't know. It's kind of defies belief too, but it's funny. And let's see. Oh, there's this like random sequence then when they hear a helicopter and Teddy McGiggle like runs up to the roof and then he falls off the roof. And I think this is also he can have like this conversation with Dave, because Dave then rescues him by like kind of pulling him back up onto the roof. Like, these zombies are so incompetent. Like, he should have been like a hot meal for them at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I like how it's like that thing of, hey, you screwed us over and almost killed us, but hey, I'm the bigger person, which is one of the things. It's like Dave's growing moments. He's becoming the bigger person.
Yeah. And I think that's all really a vehicle too, though. And I think that's good. Yeah, no, I think that's good. Like, he's becoming a bigger person. So it's a vehicle for that. But then also Teddy McGiggle gives this like confession that like he slept with all these moms and like he feels guilty about it. Maybe. I don't know. He's pretending he does anyway. And like that he has this like emptiness in his soul because he's playing this children's character. And he's like, I learned the Meisner technique with Pacino. Well, anyway, Teddy McGiggle is now a children's actor, and he feels that he will never, and probably he would be right. I don't think a person who had played a character like he would ever be able to be in like some kind of serious drama after that. He'd probably,
sadly, typecasting is a thing.
Yeah, unless it was maybe a local theater level, like, I don't know, but yeah. So then, after this little confession, we cut back to the U.S. military base, where they have noticed that all the zombies are congregating around the souvenir kiosk, but they haven't like thought to themselves, maybe there's living people in there. Instead, they're just going to bomb the shit out of it. So, yay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it does actually. And then the next sequence I love, like, it's actually when I rewatched it, it was one of my favorites. Miss Caroline is singing a song, I Don't Want to Live on the Moon, which I recognized. I didn't know where I recognized it from, and I looked it up, and it was sung by Ernie on Sesame Street. Had you ever heard that song?
I had not. That was my first time.
It's really pretty, the song. And Lupita Nyong'o, she's like such a good singer too, I thought, in this movie.
Oh gosh, yeah. Her voice is beautiful. And she learned to play the ukulele. So, you know.
And while she's singing, you see the children listening, like they're all raptly attentive to her despite the zombies outside. And like, also it cuts away to like a scene of zombies like shambling in the moonlight. And then I love this, might be my favorite like shot. There's this little lamb and he's in this pen alone and he's caught between like zombies on either side of his pen that aren't coming in because these are really ineffectual zombies, but like he's scared. The lamb is scared. And that's totally referencing the children. The children are even holding like stuffed lambs to like drive the point home more, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. I thought that was really beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah. And we find out there's no more food. They've eaten all the chips. That's all they had. And they cut away to the parents of the class are outside the military perimeter. And oh my God, you hear the military guys talking, they're like, zombies again? Fast ones or slow ones? And it's like, for real.
The incompetence. This has happened before.
Yeah, and how did they stop the fast ones, I'd like to know, if they're this bad at the slow ones?
But of course, they bombed them. How else?
I guess so.
That is the answer to everything. Bombs.
And then finally, like, they're going to bed, and like Beth is this little girl who's like kind of Felix's like little kindergarten girlfriend. And I'm going to play a clip of Felix is helping her by teaching her a rhyme, the Little Monsters rhyme. So we're going to play that really quick.
Hey, you okay, mate?
Yes, but Beth is a bit frightened. My mum puts me to bed.
Oh. Well, we're going to see your mum tomorrow.
I'm scared. My mummy made up a special rhyme to help me go to sleep. Do you want to hear it? Now the day is over and I'm in bed rugged up tight. I hope those little monsters won't get me in the night. If I say this little rhyme, they'll try put up a fight. But they won't come get me, no, they won't give me a fright. Little monsters, go away. Little monsters...
I think we need Beth to help with this bit, yeah? Hey, Beth, when I point at you, can you say, go away?
Go away?
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. Okay, let's start again.
Little monsters, you can't stay.
I don't want to see your little claws. I don't want to hear your little roars. Little monsters,
go away.
Come back and see me in the day. We can have a little party and eat cake and tea and play. But we all must get a proper sleep. So little monsters, please.
Go away.
That's it. That's exactly it. You reckon you can sleep now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
How did you know the rhyme, Uncle David?
Well, your mum used to sing it to me before I went to sleep. Back when I was boo-boo.
Boo-boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like that's like for me a turning point for David's character. Like it's the first time I think you see him like going out of his way to help a kid who's not even Felix, like a different kid. And like Miss Caroline isn't even watching at that point. Like he's not doing it to impress her. He's just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, which is nice. And like, you know, again, that whole protecting kids thing. And he's doing it in like obviously a much lesser way than Miss Caroline, but he's doing it in the way that works for him.
Yeah. And also I like that it shows Felix's strength. Like Felix is like this very compassionate little boy, very like, he's nice to even to the kids who aren't nice to him. Like at one point he offers some tofu snacks to one of the kids who makes fun of his food because he's hungry. And the kid's like, ew, but like Felix offered like some of his food and he's probably hungry too. So
yeah, that's actually that's actually after they say all the food is gone.
Yeah.
And that's when he's offering it. It's like, no, there's literally no more food. And the kids are still like, ugh.
Yeah. Silly kids. Anyway.
Yep.
So we come to the part now, like the kids are asleep. Miss Caroline and Dave have like a talk. Like this is a very rom-com thing like that you would have where the two characters finally get to know each other and get past all their kind of like surface stuff. And first of all, you hear Miss Caroline / Audrey swear for the first time. You haven't heard her swear for the whole movie. She goes to Dave, I'm fucking terrified too. I just need them to feel like the adults are in control, you know? And you hear him admiring her. He says, how do you do it? And she says, do what? He says, be a superhero. And she says, not quite. I think she's kind of underrating herself there. But but the best part is you find out their backstories. So you find out Dave's backstory, which is his dad left when he was little. His mom had a pretty much a nervous breakdown. And so his older sister took care of him. And then Miss Caroline's backstory is so weird. So first you find out she doesn't really have a fiance, like her ex cheated on her and she just wears the ring to ward off married men who keep hitting on her. But then you find out that she came to Australia while she was following a rock band and she was stalking them to their hotel room. And then you find out the rock band was Hanson. And Dave's like, Mbop? And she says, "Mbop." Like, if anything, that definitely makes her freaky enough to believe that, like, she would go for Dave. I think, like, if they hadn't, if they hadn't given her that little touch of just like, whoa, what's going on there? I'm not sure I would have bought them together, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, gods, yeah.
But it gives her just this little bit of like, okay, well, you've got your weaknesses too as a person. But then she tells him that, like, she then went to get work and she became like an assistant to a teacher. And when she started working with kids, the kids having confidence in her restored her faith in herself. And I thought that was a cool backstory as well. And I think it can work like that. I don't think I wouldn't recommend it as a way for people to recover from problems necessarily.
Yeah.
But
like, her reasoning for it, though, was that there was no judgment.
Yeah, that's true.
There was absolutely no judgment in those little kids' eyes. And I can definitely see the appeal of, like, if you've been judged for a lot of things in life, going into a space and being like, oh, nice, I get to just actually start over in this space.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we also find out Dave finally is honest to Miss Caroline, which is showing further character growth. And he admits that his band broke up 6 years ago and he's not really a Christian. And so he's telling the truth to her. He's coming clean. And also, I forgot to mention this at the time. So when he's in the fight with Teddy McGiggle before, he actually breaks his guitar on Teddy McGiggle to, like, to disable him. And you were saying that him carrying the guitar around is like a sign of his past. So in that scene, he'd already kind of like been willing to break this sign of his past to deal with the present moment. So I thought that was good.
I forgot about the breaking of the guitar.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now he's like admitting to what happened too with his band. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning they all wake up and they have a plan. They need to leave the kiosk, which is good because we, the audience, know the military wants to bomb it. And Dave says that Teddy is going to distract them while Dave makes a run for the tractor train. But Teddy counters with, we should go and get the McGiggle Mobile, which is his little van. And the kids at this point are becoming really restless. Like, I love this little girl. This little girl says, Miss Caroline, I don't want to play this game anymore. It makes no sense and the zombies look fake.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of shoehorned in there a little bit. Like, Dave, to calm them down, well, he does the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, and it works. And then he plays Sweet Caroline on the ukulele, but he turns the lyrics into Miss Caroline. And this is totally rom-com. This, like, that's the only purpose it has there. This is like subbing in for some kind of declaration of love scene that you would see in an average rom-com where somebody's admitting their feelings for somebody. And you see it kind of working on her. And she said the previous night she liked Neil Diamond, so it all kind of comes together there. It's a little forced, but I also liked it. And we've seen the kids respond to music before. So
yeah, it was really cute. I liked it. I know I actually have thought I do like one rom-com a lot. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, when Heath Ledger sings that song.
Yeah. Oh, you should check out our episode on that one because I like we do some funny details about that too.
Will do. Yeah, I know, like, but again, it's like it's the song, and I know. Yeah. Oh God, what was that movie? There's another rom-com where the boombox gets held up.
Oh, Say Anything with John Cusack.
Yeah, and it's like always like it's nice like when it is a song that's happening.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you brought those in. I wouldn't have like thought about that. Yeah, that's another part of the trope too, is like using music to express your love in a rom-com for sure.
Mm-hmm. Except these two people actually just happen to be singers.
Yeah. And he can apparently also play the ukulele. I mean, guitar could probably
out of nowhere.
I mean, guitar might translate to that. I don't know. Or maybe maybe he learned on one first when he was a kid. Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. So now the plan has been changed, and Dave is going to run. Also, I don't know. Nobody seems to be distracting anyone. Was he supposed to be distracting them? I can't remember how the plan falls apart.
So Dave was supposed to be distracting him. That's why he was banging those two things together and yelling, trying to get all the zombies to come to him. Except like only half of the zombies came to him.
Okay. And so they're both kind of running towards the McGiggle-mobile. And Teddy McGiggle is like biting, or not, no, he bites it left. He's like fighting these zombies and killing them gratuitously. He doesn't need to be. He's stopping to do it. And he's focusing on the kid zombies.
And
like,
it was actually Josh Gad's idea to bite off the nose.
Was it?
It was his idea to bite off the nose of one of the kid zombies.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of the best parts of the movie. And it's like, oh my God, what have I done? It's like, yeah, like you don't know. That could infect you. You don't know.
You idiot.
Okay, so yeah, Teddy McGiggle is just gratuitously killing zombies and saying, I fucked your mom to the kids. I don't know how he had time to fuck their specific moms. I think it's just a general joke. But
yeah, it was. Yeah. I think it was just in general, like, oh God.
I fucked the moms of the world, so basically. Stupid. And then Teddy gets to the van, and of course, he's inside and he won't let Dave in because what did you guys expect? This guy is not working with you. Like, he's a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you expect him to betray them? I expected him to betray them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. As soon as he mentioned the McGiggle mobile, I was just like, well, everyone's gonna die.
But instead, this is like the craziest scene in the movie and the most improbable, and yet it is my favorite. Instead, like this like frog puppet hand like comes in from the back of the van and like grabs his face, and then like these other hands emerge from the back of the van and like start ripping his intestines out, and then somehow the frog puppet is biting his face off. Like, I don't know how that works.
Frogsy is the real VIP of this movie.
Yes.
Good job, Frogsy. Yeah, he just like peeled a bunch of skin off. It was beautiful.
Yeah, like Frogsy, apparently the puppet himself has become a zombie, independent of Frogsy's operator, who is also a zombie. It's pretty great. And so, yeah, Teddy's dead, basically, or a zombie, maybe. And Dave is forced to climb onto the roof of the van, where Frogsy is then still trying to come out of the Frogsy flap and attack him. So, like, with one hand, he's like holding the Frogsy flap down, and on every side, the other zombies are closing in. And because this is a movie with a dramatic, our character arc, he also takes time to call his, well, it's good to call his sister, like to let him know.
Yeah, he finally, like, he gets reception because he's up above.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, instead of being like, these are our coordinates and this is how many people are alive, he's like, I never thanked you for raising me when I was a kid. It's like, I see it for the character. It's great growth. But like at the same time, I'm like, hey man.
Honestly, I would probably do what he did.
Really?
At that point, like, I know my mind. I know how stressed my mind can get. I would totally be like, I'm stressed. I must tell you all these things.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah. Miss Caroline would totally have given coordinates, though.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So at this point, like, everything seems lost. Like, Miss Caroline's still in the kiosk with all the kids. Dave's trapped on top of a van. Teddy McGiggle is useless. So Max, one of the little boys who's been asking to play putt-putt golf the entire time, finally has a breakdown. He's like, I want to play putt-putt golf. And he's like, ah! And it's like,
I was like, I know this child. I know this child so well. Like, I've had a student just do something exactly like that. And I'm just like, again, Miss Caroline, the fact that you're not like punching him in the face, good job. Good on you.
So while he's having this breakdown, Beth tells Miss Caroline that Felix is missing. And then we get this really great sequence. Like, I love this sequence. Okay, like, if I'm not taking it too seriously, like in this movie, the tone is comedy, so you don't. If I was really worried about this kid, if this was like a drama or a serious horror, I would think this kid was dead. Because Felix runs out in his Darth Vader costume, in character again, and he's going to
carrying a putt-putt.
Oh, yeah. Is he carrying the putt-putt as his lightsaber? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he runs out, but he's not really using it. He's not really fighting zombies. At one point, he pretends he's using force power to close a gate, which
he also, if you listen, he keeps on saying pew pew. So he's pretending that the putt-putt is a gun, kind of like the shooting game.
That too. And at one point, he uses the force power to like close a gate, and it ends up closing just because the zombies run into it. And fortunately, it closes that way. Yeah, like he kind of has luck on his side, basically. And the fact that he's a child in a comedy as opposed to a child in a really sick horror movie. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so he manages to get past the zombies and to the tractor. And then since he knows how to drive the tractor, he drives the tractor over to Dave. And then together they drive the tractor into the kiosk, like tear down the wall of the kiosk in the process, and rescue all the others. Like, honestly, I had to suspend my disbelief quite a bit here, even for a zombie comedy, because like I think those zombies could have gotten onto the tractor. What do you think? Like,
well, for how the zombies were, the fact that they couldn't bend down to get through the hole, to get into the thing, I don't think they would have been able to climb. But Felix would not have been able to do that tractor.
Oh, because he's so small. Yeah,
because he's so small. Like, that would not have happened.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't reach the pedals. You're totally right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, just like the strength it would take to change the gears and take it out like that. I don't think I would be able to do that.
Well,
so
fortunately,
Felix
he's in a comedy.
Great. Yep, exactly.
So then they're driving away from the farm, and everyone's on the tractor trailer. They're driving away from the farm, and Max finally gets to play putt-putt golf. He gets to carry the putt and hit the zombies on the head if they get too close to the tractor trailer. And he is having a great time. Like, this is the putt-putt golf of his dreams. He's going to have to be trained out of this.
I was like, he's going to grow up to be violent.
And then Miss Caroline then is playing a series of children's songs. She plays The Wheels on the Bus, and then she plays If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands, and all the zombies start clapping. Like in a very awkward zombie way. And then going, hooray! When it says If You're Happy and You Know It, shout hooray, hooray! I kind of like this, but it's like the movie's tone shift. It keeps shifting into more and more absurd levels, basically.
I forgot, right? As they're running to get onto the tractor also, the one zombie who stole her fanny pack is just still holding it right in front of him, and she grabs it.
Oh.
So she has the fanny pack back.
Oh, nice. I didn't remember that part. I also forgot to mention there's like somebody wearing a giant koala suit, like who's a zombie. And at first I was like, how did he become a zombie? He's wearing a suit. But then you see that the suit's been ripped open and his arm is all bloody. And I'm like, even the guy in the mascot suit got zombified. I mean, it'd be hard for him to bite people, I guess, at least. He'd be pretty safe with the koala zombie, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're driving now towards the military. And you see the military planning to shoot them because, you know, we can't allow anyone through. And they hear people singing and they're like, then they see that there are kids. And the military guy says, I can't shoot kids again.
Also, my favorite line in the movie came from that scene.
What's that?
Where they're trying to figure out, like, they hear this music and there's like, what is that? And the general is like, is that a small guitar? And one of the privates is like, sir, that's a ukulele, sir. I'm like, best line. I love it so much.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah. Because that's the important thing at this point.
Yeah, he said it with such conviction. I was like, oh my God.
So fortunately, the general or whoever he is has some compunction about shooting children again. And Miss Caroline, Dave, and the kids all are let through the military barrier, and the military then begins shooting the zombies behind them, and that gives you that satisfying bloodbath that you expect in this kind of movie, you know, like that we haven't been able to have before with the kids involved. But
and I do like, because, like, again, David and Audrey were trying to protect the kids this entire time. And as soon as they pass through, all the other adults are like, fuck pretending the kids, we're shooting.
Yeah.
So all the kids suddenly, now they're traumatized because they hear just gunfire. They're in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're like slightly distracted by the planes flying overhead, which then go and bomb the place that they were just staying in. But Miss Caroline says, fireworks. and
Good
then,
job, Miss Caroline.
Yeah, she's always trying to, like, you know, make things cheerful. And then she kisses Dave. I like that she kisses him rather than the opposite because, like,
yep.
Yeah, because, like, really, he's like punching way above his weight here with her. Like, he's like, she's pretty awesome. But then she kisses him and then he kisses her back. And so you get your happy romantic ending with them. And then they're immediately taken into a scary quarantine van. But you're not made to be scared very long because you then get put into the quarantine area. A military guy goes to talk to the class's parents. And they tell the kids that their kids are safe thanks to Miss Caroline and Dave, and that the kids aren't scared. And then you cut to like a scene that shows why the kids aren't scared. They take the parents in to look at the quarantine area, the tent that they're in, and all the kids are in there singing with Miss Caroline and Dave. And I have a little clip of that too.
I stay up too late, got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I can make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I've got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. Cause the player's gonna play. The haters gonna hate. Baby, I just wanna shake. Shake it off, shake it off. Heartbreaker's gonna break.
This is where you see the parents looking in from a distance.
Baby, I just wanna shake. Shake it off, shake it off. I shake it off, 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 shake it off, I shake it off, shake it off.
I thought that was like such a cute scene. I love that scene. I'm still smiling. I mean, I like the song, but I just like Tess, his sister, Dave's sister, is like looking at Dave, like not as much. I think she'd be looking at her kid in real life, but because the arc of the story arc is around Dave, she's looking at her brother, and she's so proud of his development.
Yeah, she's crying. I think that she would look at him. I think that she would see that Felix is okay, and then look at the man who made sure that Felix is okay.
Yeah, and she did take care of her brother when they were little, so she probably has that maternal feeling towards him as well, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's very sweet. I liked it. I like the ending altogether. What do you think?
It was nice. Again, it's a rom-com. I liked it. I liked the ending. Obviously, it's with the types of movies I've been watching lately, it was really nice to have a movie that had like a feel-good ending.
Oh yeah, not been watching feel-good ones lately, huh?
Oh no, not at all. So I'm like, this is nice. Good, happy endings do exist.
So one question I wanted to ask for both of us, do you think you would have been able to act like Miss Caroline if you ended up in this situation? And what would you do differently, if anything, than what she did?
I think that for me, I would have tried to do what she did. I don't think I would have done it, though. I think that I would have failed miserably.
Because of just the stress of the situation, basically?
Yeah, the stress of the situation. If any of the kids started screaming, I would honestly, I couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Like, even in a classroom with my 5-year-old, if they started screaming, I actually had to turn away from them and just, like, remind myself and teach myself how to breathe again. I would not have been able to handle it.
Like, so I think for my answer, I think I'm similar. I think I would want to act like Miss Caroline did, but like, I think the reality of such a situation, such a stressful situation, would be a lot. Like, and I think, like, I hate to say this, but I think I might end up being able to help the kids who are easy to help, and I might not be able to help the kids who weren't easy to help. Kids might end up being left behind. I hate to say that. But
no, it's very true though.
In a situation like that, if a kid was like Max, who's like having the breakdown over the putt golf, like if he'd had that breakdown sooner when they're trying to run to the kiosk, I'd be like, I gotta save the majority of the kids. And like, I don't know about you, but I hate, that's a terrible thing to say though, but who knows what's going to happen.
Well, it's even like when they were first crawling into that little holding area in the souvenir shop, obviously Teddy McGiggle is watching this whole thing happen.
Yeah.
And his reaction to being like, oh no, they're almost in, is to see the kid with the walker and being like, leave him behind.
Oh man, did he say that?
He did.
Oh.
Because obviously that is the weak link.
Except that kid really keeps calm though. So I mean, I think
he does. But at the same time, it's one of those things of, could I handle carrying him?
Well, I like
taking care of everybody.
I like the way they do it though, where he uses the walker as a weapon. Like I think, like he Dave finds the positive in the situation, you know, and he works.
But I'm also thinking, like, if it was me, Dave wouldn't be there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like obviously, I don't know if like there would be. I don't know if there would be another adult there, but like, well, think about it, it's like, okay, I'm just going to assume I would be by myself with these kids.
Well, assume you have one helper with the rough competence of a Dave, basically.
I feel like it would be a lot easier, and I feel like I would get a little farther than I would have without.
Yeah.
But I still don't, depending on what the person is like, obviously, even if it is like Dave, I still feel like ultimately I would not make it through.
I feel like it's possible I could make it through, but I don't know if all the kids would make it through. And I feel terrible saying that. And that's why emergency preparedness, like you went to that thing, is so important. Just like practicing and drilling these things so that you have these instincts built in. Like I do still think though that I might have asked the kids to all put their backpacks on, because I'm one of those people who thinks about like, we need supplies. Like I'm very big on supplies.
I wouldn't, for the pure purpose of backpacks equal weight to children.
That's true.
And I wouldn't want them to get weighed down, especially when that conga line has to go fast.
That's true. And also they can be grabbed. So I guess you have a point there too. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so this, another thing about the movie, this is a movie that uses the rom-com trope of having a really immature guy kind of grow up and change for the sake of a woman he's interested in. I don't know. I don't have too much to comment about that, just to note it. And it's the similar thing in Shaun of the Dead. Like Shaun isn't quite as immature as Dave, but he's definitely like not living up to his living girlfriend's like, you know, view of what he should be behaving like. And that's a big part of that movie too. I don't know if you like movies where we watch this kind of character arc or not, but I tend to like it okay. But I like there to be the woman to not be a pushover too, though, at the same time. I need the woman to be strong.
Exactly. That's so going back to my obsession with boys over flowers, the head boy, the one that she ultimately ends up with, he is a sadistic little brat, but he also had a really messed up childhood, and his brain is so innocent. He doesn't actually understand a lot of things. And so in a way, it has that trope in it, while also having this girl has to fix the boy to make him better, which I feel like those two tropes kind of go hand in hand a tiny bit.
I think in this movie, though, I don't know if Miss Caroline's really fixing him.
Which is one of the things I really appreciated about this movie is they are fixing each other. I feel like, especially because like she doesn't want to be judged, and during their talk about like Hanson and blah blah blah, she isn't being judged, which is amazing. Like, oh my god, this man is not a kindergarten student, and he's not judging me. It's great. It's that thing of back to the beginning of the movie with what Sarah said, the big difference between being with someone and being there for someone is, for the first time, she has somebody who's there for her, and he has somebody who's there for him.
The one thing, though, I will say about that is, like, I feel like in the world of this movie, Miss Caroline is being given a choice between two types of men. One of them is Teddy McGiggle. One of them is Dave. You know what I mean? It's like hard not to look good when you're being compared against Teddy McGiggle.
Exactly. But at the same time, he's also being compared, obviously we didn't see this, by every single other father of those classmates. Because like there's a reason that she wears that engagement ring, even though she's not engaged.
Yeah, true. And he isn't shown to be too smarmy. Like, you know, like he doesn't come on too hard. Like obviously he came on this trip in the first place because he was trying to hit on her, but he doesn't like overdo it. or try to make her uncomfortable, which is good. Yeah. All right. So I think you already answered this a little bit. You said you didn't necessarily find this romance in the movie that believable.
In general, I don't. For this specific movie, I kind of did. I think that at the end of the movie where they were, I feel like it would have happened like that.
Okay.
If like they had started out in the he likes her, I feel like, especially because trauma brings people together.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have happened like that.
Okay. Yeah, like even just from sheer relief, she might kiss him, honestly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And so what do you think would happen in like assuming this was like the real world, what do you think would happen with Dave and Miss Caroline in the future? Do you think they have a future together? What do you think would
I think that they would have to start over. I think like even if they have feelings for each other, they would still have to kind of go back a step. Be like, I need to reintroduce myself in a situation that is not traumatic.
Sure.
Because like you mentioned the movie Speed earlier.
Yeah.
And in Speed 2, Sandra Bullock was not with Keanu Reeves because he kept on wanting to do like adrenaline stuff and she just didn't want that.
Or because Keanu Reeves didn't want to do Speed 2. Sorry.
Well, yes, obviously that. But like I enjoyed the way that they explained why he wasn't in it.
Okay.
He wanted that and she was like, I don't want to live my life in adrenaline. I don't want to live my life in a traumatic lifestyle. I want something that's more, sustainable.
Yeah.
So I feel like, again, these guys, they would have to kind of start over with the sustainability.
See, like at first when I was thinking about this question, I thought that maybe they wouldn't be able to be successful. But now, like the more I think about them in the movie and the way they grow over time, and when I see them singing together at the end, I could really see them like honestly starting a Christian rock band. I'm not kidding. I think they would be willing to do that for.
I was thinking that they would start a daycare together.
Oh, but she's got a good job as a kindergarten teacher.
Exactly, but like that's also like the next step is like start my own business.
Yeah, I just think like they could make a pretty good Christian rock band if they wanted to. If like Dave was willing to do that, like to like learn to play his instrument a little better and like compromise on some of the lyrics and then like they could sing together. I could see it. I don't know.
Can you be part of a Christian rock band if you're not Christian?
You could become Christian maybe. I don't know. I feel like Dave is the kind of guy like who like even though he's not shown that way at the beginning, I feel like he's the kind of guy who, like, now that he's gone through this traumatic thing with his dad, like, dealing with that a little bit, like, he might be the kind of guy who would fold himself into a woman's life a little bit. I don't know. Or maybe they just wrote the character weird. Like, because at the beginning of the movie, he seems so stubborn and he just can't work with his first girlfriend. But by the end of the movie, he seems like he would do basically anything Miss Caroline asked him to. That's the feeling I get. Is that bad writing of a character? Or, like, I don't know.
I do feel like, though, like, she really likes being a kindergarten teacher, and I don't think she would want to give that up.
Oh, no, I'm saying she would do it as a sideline. He would do it both.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But he would do it as, like, a main thing?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is just because I live with a musician. There is no side thing.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if that would work, especially if they want to make any type of money doing the music.
Okay. Well, I could see Dave and Miss Caroline working together on some way, I guess. Roughly, I could see them having a future together. I don't really know why. I think it may just be that the actor sold it so well. Like, that they sold...
They did. They're both really good actors, especially her.
Yeah. Now I just want to go over really quickly, what are some of your favorite scenes? If you need to think about it for a second, I've got mine. I don't know if you need to think or not, but...
You can go first. I do know what mine is, but you can go first.
Well, I've got a couple favorite scenes. So for favorite scenes... first, I really like any scene where you see kind of the horrible potential of children's entertainment. Like, children's entertainment often is just like one step away from being terrifying. Okay, like an example of this is like I was watching even like Mr. Rogers. I used to watch it with these kids I babysat for, and there was one kid who was terrified of this character called Purple Panda. He could not deal if Purple Panda came on the screen, and he would just like run away screaming. And it was just basically somebody in a giant purple panda suit, like what it sounds like, who didn't really talk. I think it was the not talking that really scared him the most. And so like there's always with children's entertainment sometimes this like almost uncanny thing. And Teddy McGiggle's giggle is like you could see that same giggle in a horror movie and it would not be out of place, you know, as the horror, not as like the
no.
character caught in the hole. So I like that.
It would totally laugh like that.
Yeah. I like Teddy, when you saw Teddy McGiggle giggling and being really freaky. I liked when they had the koala costume zombie. I loved the Frogsy zombie hand attacking Teddy McGiggle. And just like, yeah. And then I also like the thing about Teddy McGiggle's character where like the difference between the performance that he's giving of this like wholesome aw shucks kiddlywinks guy and the reality of him like swearing and hating the kids and letting them die if he could. I feel like it's a commentary almost on like how I don't know if they meant it as a commentary but for me, it somehow works as a commentary on how much we shelter kids from reality versus how bad reality can get. And like,
that was on purpose. That's what they wanted to do with that character.
Okay. Where did you read that? Where did you see that?
I listened to a whole one interview and that taught me a lot. It was like a 5-minute interview and I learned so much.
I did not see that particular interview. I want that. If we can find it, I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, like I like the scenes where they showed the children's entertainment and how it can translate into horror very easily. And I liked also, I like anything where they're singing, especially the Taylor Swift at the end. And I loved Lupita Nyong'o's song of I Don't Want to Live on the Moon. Like, it's just so pretty. Like, it's such a pretty scene. Anyway, so I hope I didn't steal all the favorite scenes. You can have the same favorite scenes. You're allowed.
So this isn't really a scene, but just in general, I am so happy that they killed the animals in this movie. It is one of the things that really annoys me about most zombie movies is that the zombies just ignore the animals.
Yeah,
and like
it makes sense.
They explain it away in some movies. Like in Return of the Living Dead, they mention like, oh yeah, like human brains stop us from feeling pain. So that makes sense. But it's like so many of the movies, I'm like, well, there was like a perfectly good cat there. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that they didn't do that in this movie.
Cool.
For my favorite scene, I mentioned it before, but just the scene where Miss Caroline is hugging McGiggles with the conch shell, like digging right into him. That is something that I loved so much. Like, hey, no, you do not mess with these kids' innocence, which again, that's what this entire movie is.
Yeah.
Is you do not mess with these kids' innocence. And that scene just like enveloped it, I feel like, really well.
I agree. That was really good too. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to get to the final. Unless you want to say anything else about the movie before we do double feature recommendations, the last section. Is there any final notes you want to say?
I actually have a question because they mentioned it again during this magical interview I watched, which is they mentioned how this movie could be a good gateway movie into the horror genre.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I know of many gateway movies. Like you have Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. You have Are You Afraid of the Dark? Blah, blah, blah. Like all that stuff is a good gateway. Would you say this is a good gateway into the horror genre?
I think it depends on why people don't watch horror, because like some people don't watch horror because they specifically don't like blood and guts, in which case this does have some of that. So I don't know if it would work for those people. But if it's for people who just don't like to feel too much stress or fear, or they're afraid of different things like ghosts or killers, like then I think it could work for them. It just depends on what people's reasoning is. You know what I mean? Like people have so many different reasons for disliking horror, and you have to first find out like, okay, well, what stops you? What is the thing you don't like? Is it gratuitous cruelty you don't like? Is it blood you don't like? Is it, just being terrified you don't like? And what are you scared of in particular? Like for me, it would be a super good gateway because it's like, I'm not scared of zombies. I don't really care about blood as long as it doesn't look too real, And but I like horror anyway, so it's hard to say. But yeah, I think for some people it would be a good gateway. For others, no. Like the movie we did before this one was Happy Death Day. That's the last podcast we just released. And I think that's a good gateway too for some people because it's a slasher, but it's PG-13. So you get a little taste of slasher, but without gratuitousness again. And it's also a rom-com and a time loop and it has other stuff going on. I think that is one.
It's a great rom-com. I actually love that movie as a rom-com.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah. That and the sequel. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. I think like having something else going on besides horror, making it a movie that's like has a different genre in it can also be a good gateway in general. So yeah, this could work for that. Like, yeah,
Okay.
that's what I say. What do
All
you
right. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask, during the interview, they equated this movie to a quote R-rated Pixar movie. And I wanted to know if you agreed with what they said. Like, would you say this is an R-rated Pixar movie, except obviously live action?
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. What about you?
I think I can see it. I don't know all the way, but it has the same beats in it, and it has that nice seriousness. And I would actually absolutely love to see an actual Pixar movie made about Miss Caroline.
Yeah, yeah. And Teddy McGiggle
Especially
would be
hunting.
pretty funny too, actually.
Yeah.
So now we're going to do our double feature recommendations. And my first double feature recommendation is to watch this with the movie Us. And that's because it's also with Lupita Nyong'o. It's one of her other horror movies. I think it might be her only other horror movie so far. I don't swear to that, but I think so. And her performance in Us is just so extraordinary. I think and I've seen 12 Years a Slave, and I think her work in that movie in Us is better. And so if you're a fan of hers, you owe it to yourself to watch that movie. Just it's a movie basically where it's really hard to explain the plot of this movie, but it's Jordan Peele's second movie after Get Out. I think some people didn't like it because it wasn't the same as Get Out. It was a little more fantastical, had a lot of metaphor and symbolism, but it's such beautifully shot, beautifully acted, and there's a lot going on in that movie. So check it out. And I would watch it after watching Little Monsters. I would want Us to be the one that I was going to bed on. Although, unless you get really scared, then you can go to bed on Little Monsters. So, depending on your fear level, like if you're easily scared, watch Little Monsters second.
I love that movie so much. First movie for me would be, I mentioned it earlier, Cooties from 2014, starring Elijah Wood. It's just another zombie movie about children, except the children are the zombies. It is so goofy. The jokes are much more adult. It's a lot cruder. One of a big joke is how one of the female teachers carries one of those rape buttons, like where you press a button and just a loud ass siren goes off. So it's that type of humor in it. But it's really interesting to see how they deal with it because it is the children that are the zombies or the main zombies in the film, which is something you don't really see a lot. Like, obviously, you have the movie The Children, which is a wonderful movie, and that has kids killing kids. But this one is like, oh no, this is a different type of killing because it's zombies. It is one of my favorite zombie films just because of how goofy it is, how lighthearted it is in some ways, and again, just how absolutely absurd.
Nice. I will check it out. I will definitely check it out. And then my second choice is Shaun of the Dead, which Shaun of the Dead is probably the movie that's, I would say, is the most similar to this movie in terms of its like rom-com structure, like just having the guy who starts out kind of like not living up to what is maybe expected of a mature relationship, and then over the course of the movie like changing a little bit. But in that movie, I think his girlfriend changes a little bit more too. Like, I think like they're both meeting each other in the middle, whereas in Little Monsters, Dave is really doing the growing, I would say. But I think they'd be a good pairing together. I love Shaun of the Dead. Like, if it were just for the scene where they're fighting with pool cues while Queen plays on the jukebox, it would be enough for me. But I like that movie as a whole, and I liked it from the beginning. So yeah, I put those two together.
So the next two that I have are purely because of that interview, which I promise I will try to find and send to you.
Okay.
So the first one from those two is They Live from 1988. I haven't seen this movie since I was like 6, so I don't really remember it, but watching Josh Gad talk about this movie, it made me want to rewatch it. So the fight scene where most of it was improvised and staplers and snow globes and all that, they took a lot of inspiration from one of the fight scenes in They Live.
Nice.
And they also, of course, took a lot of inspiration from Romero. But because of just like that one thing, even if I just watched just that fight scene, it's something I do want to go back in and watch again.
Nice. Excellent. And then I have another one, which is also one of my recommendations, is also because it was listed as an inspiration. Director Abe Forsyth said that one of his inspirations, like early movie inspirations, was watching Peter Jackson's early zombie film, Dead Alive or Brain Dead. It goes by both names. And I mentioned, I think, it earlier in the podcast. But like this would be a good combination because it's also kind of a zombie comedy. But this one, be cautioned. If you do not like blood flying everywhere, you do not want to watch this movie. Granted, it's totally unrealistic blood, but like there's a fucking lot of it. So only watch it if you can handle that kind of thing. But I think it would make a really good pairing on the absurdist zombie comedy level. And there is a romance, as I said, in Brain Dead, but it's not really as prominent or realistic maybe as the one in Little Monsters. So yeah.
The last one for me, I actually have never seen this film.
Really?
I really want to. So it's Okja from 2017. It's been on my list to watch just forever, but the director of this film said he took inspiration from it because of the tonal shifts that happened in that movie. There's a quote he says where the Okja wears its heart on its sleeve and doesn't apologize for it. That's what the director wanted to do with this movie.
Nice.
Which I can definitely see what he's talking about with wearing the heart on the sleeve. Because this movie definitely does that. It's not afraid of emotions.
Nice. That's great. And like the funny thing is like that's a Bong Joon-ho film. And so if you're not familiar with his work, audience, he also did Parasite, which you also need to see. Not a rom-com or at all, but anyway, but see it anyway. And my last choice is also Bong Joon-ho, The Host, which I mentioned from 2006. And that's because of the U.S. military, the U.S. doing terrible things to another country and causing terrible tragedy. And also because The Host, one of the main characters, is a kid, like a young kid who's trying to escape from this monster in the Han River. So yeah, like kids facing horrors, like is definitely a theme that you would have there. Anyway, Apple, I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Like you really brought a lot of like research and like thoughts that were really great that I really appreciate it so much. So thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. You know me, I will talk about horror movies forever. There's a reason I'm so passionate about them. And yeah, it's nice when they pair with a different genre.
Yeah. And be sure to check the show notes if you want to see the Nicolas Cage blog, okay? Like, there's some pretty funny thoughts on Nicolas Cage movies. You might have to scroll down a little bit because, like, the more recent stuff seems to be more pictures and memes, but there's some, like, written stuff down at the bottom that is pretty good. So check that out.
And then side note for that really fast, just so you guys know, I had a name change since I did that. My name in all of those blogs is Jenna and not Apollonia.
Oh yeah, that's good because then they know who you are. Yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, and so thanks again. And I just want to put a few notes about the podcast really quick before we end. Just stay tuned. We're going to be doing Warm Bodies coming up. And then later we're going to be switching into more of a fall season rom-com podcast and then holiday movies, which I know most people love the Christmas holiday rom-coms so much. So stay tuned for all those. And please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.